Doesn't get much more breaking than this. So much so, our pal Jeff Zaribek is in breaking news mode for the Athletic. So we apologize for a two-man show. But Cole, this is an emergency pod. The Maxx Crosby sweepstakes, the blockbuster trade from Friday night that you and Jeff handled admirably into the wee hours of the evening. That is off after a failed physical occurred today in Baltimore. Maxx Crosby is not a Raven. The blockbuster trade is no longer. And the Ravens now have their first-round picks back in their lap, Cole, for the next 2 years. This is one of the most jarring news items that I can remember since covering this team almost a decade running now. Your instant reaction to a ridiculous piece of news as we were about to press live.
Yeah, just that. I mean, I don't even really know what to say at this point. You know, I wasn't expecting to open that one. We're just kind of running through our show outline, and then that drastically changed, and we had to pivot. I'm in utter shock. Obviously, it's been released that Maxx Crosby failed his physical. I believe it was already stated that he was in Baltimore today, which it sounds like that's when the physical was going down. And obviously the Ravens came across something that they didn't like. So, I mean, the big question I have is what now? Is this where you go back to the drawing table and hash out a deal that maybe looks different, or is it just over? How does this impact? Because that's the thing. All these signings that have been announced, the Raiders kind of ripped through cap space, but I mean, at the same time, they still had a ton left. How does that change things? How does this change what the Ravens are doing with someone like Trey Hendrickson still on the market? Will they pivot? I just have so many questions. I haven't even been able to process it. Like, I don't think our fans have either. It's just one of those things. It's crazy. I've never seen. It's funny, actually. It's giving me the Ryan Grant flashback. But in a much different way, because yesterday when the Ravens signed John Simpson so quickly and then Elgton Jenkins came available, everybody was like, maybe a failed physical will happen. And it turns out the failed physical was for the wrong player. I'm just shocked. The Ravens, for the first time in franchise history, trade a first-round pick for a player, make a blockbuster, like a true blockbuster. And this happens. It's stacking the unprecedented on the unprecedented.
Cole, as you know, there was a big standoff between Maxx and the organization, the Raiders, that is, when they made an organizational decision to shut him down. He was playing through a knee injury. It wasn't significant enough to sideline him. He had a decent year playing on a hobbled knee, and he underwent surgery for that knee in January. Here we are on March 10th, and according to his Instagram, he's been in Baltimore. He might even still be in Baltimore right now for all we know. And there's now credible reports that, as we've both noted, as we begin the collective tonight, that Maxx Crosby has failed his physical, and this blockbuster trade is no longer.
So what's crazy is you saw him yesterday joking around with John Simpson, right? Because there's a clip from, so like, as of yesterday, Maxx Crosby very much, so they clearly found something within this medical that threw them off. And I don't think it was buyer's regret. I don't think it was anything to do with the player, because just 24 hours ago, he's joking around with their new free agent edition. So, I mean, this becomes a very weird situation, because like, if the Ravens go and do a physical and they find something deeply concerning, I mean, do we want to be trading 2 first-round picks for a guy with some sort of major issue with his knee? I mean, or whatever it is. I'm just, whatever it ends up being. Again, just in shock to see that go down. But it is one of those things where literally just 24 hours, he's joking around with John Simpson and everything's fine. And I mean, this becomes the thing we were hanging our hat on as Ravens fans was, we haven't been very active in the free agency market. We've seen 9, 10, I think 10 now we're at, 10 Ravens leave. But, what would we hang our hat on? Well, we still had Maxx Crosby. Now we don't have Maxx Crosby. We've lost 10 players, and the only addition we've made is re-signing Tyler Huntley and signing John Simpson. So this goes from bad to worse. This is a monumental shift of the trajectory of the offseason. I'm just shocked.
And now do they literally immediately shift their attention to Trey Hendrickson, who remains available?
And it just got announced he was making his decision tomorrow, right? So, I mean, what a pivot they're going to have to make here.
No question. And we really, because of the unique nature of tonight, didn't even have a chance to kind of set the show up. So with this, welcome inside the collective. Jeff, for obvious reasons, is distracted at the moment with his athletic commitments. And we welcome you inside the collective on a very unique night where Maxx Crosby and the blockbuster trade, the would-be trade, is no longer after he reportedly failed his physical. He had a knee injury that shut down his 2025 regular season. That was an organizational decision. He had surgery in January, and on March 10th, Cole, his Ravens tenure, which lasted just over 72 hours, comes to an end. And this is a Raiders statement that you see on the screen right now, where they noted that the Baltimore Ravens have backed out of our trade agreement for Maxx Crosby. We will have no further comment at this time. That is the way this is written.
That's how I text my ex. I have no further comment at this time. I am backing out of this conversation with you.
Unreal. The super chats are flying in. Let's get you guys involved. There's over 2,000 concurrents and counting, which is shattering previous records. I don't know where we were on late Friday night when I was in wedding mode, Cole, but everybody is here in droves tonight, and we're all equally as stunned, I think. Snow TPC has become a collective member, so welcome to channel membership. Same thing with Not a Chance You Read This. Gentlemen, thank you for the support. Shawnee Boy says, this was a question aimed at Jeff. Maybe he'll pop on later on. I doubt it. We'll hold this about Emory Jones and their vision for him moving forward. Thank you, Shawnee. And that brings us to Jerry DeMonico, Cole.
So the Ravens started this year's free agency period the same way as always, except for the Crosby trade. So this came in before we started. So, and as usual, fans are in a panic, hoping you guys can talk us off the ledge tonight and give us some hopeful thoughts. Jerry, run to your nearest ledge because the Maxx Crosby deal is now off. Find a ledge and become friends with that ledge. No, I mean, this is kind of what I was referring to when we opened. Like, it's what we hung our hat on was, things are, and the first 2 days with any Ravens free agency is this way. All of our players leave that were free agents. The Ravens will make a small move, and then they'll slowly kind of piece things together. So, I mean, nothing was abnormal other than the fact that they made a major blockbuster that had a lot of hype. And now that hype has completely shattered, with the state of the Ravens offensive line, with the state of the Ravens departures, this is, I'm on the ledge. I don't know about you, Bobby, but I'm on the ledge.
Look, how could you not be?
Yeah.
Because as of right now, knowing that just 24 hours ago, the player who provided maybe the biggest spark for you at this position just got a nice payday from the Patriots in Draymond Jones.
Yeah.
And we all think the world of Mike Green and his potential and his upside and whatnot, but he's a sophomore year player, if you will, who I think a lot of people were excited about now having a front row seat to one of the game's greats as a locker room mate in Maxx Crosby, and that will not happen. Shawnee Boy says, I wonder if they like the price of Trey Hendrickson is at and think it's worth keeping the picks.
I can't imagine they would back. I get what you're saying. And again, we go back to that Ryan Grant situation. I believe it was Michael Crabtree that hit the market, and the Ravens backed off Ryan Grant. The reasoning was the failed physical, and then they went out and signed Michael Crabtree. I think I have that right. There's my journalism for you. But I don't think they would do that with a Maxx Crosby. I think that if you're breaking a trade for 2 first-round picks, like, we get into the territory of, like, you better have a damn good reason to be doing that to another organization days after they just committed, and especially the Raiders committed millions of dollars to, like, hundreds. They've probably put out like $100 million in the last 24 hours. So I don't think that's what it is. Maybe that'll end up being where they land though, and it looks that way. But I don't think they would bail out of a trade, and they would have thought all this through ahead of time.
Thanks, Shawnee. And Mira gets us started in the super sticker category, which probably hits a little bit different tonight.
Yeah.
Right? Super stickers are probably feeling a little bit different tonight.
Like a super Band-Aid.
Wow. Right? King Poppy says Lamar should leave. The Ravens are killing him, which how is that your takeaway, King Poppy, from all of this happening tonight? Ultimately, the Ravens are making a decision with everyone's interest, the entire organization's interest in mind, at the front of mind. Max failed a physical, Poppy. And so that comes with, look, these deals are contingent upon physical passings, and that did not happen. This trade cannot go through. He failed his physical. Stavito says, went from a fun offseason to zero faith, and they'll have to pivot significantly, Cole. The super chats continue to fly in. We're going north of 2,300 concurrents at the moment, and let's just remind everyone that Jeff is obviously on athletic writing duties right now, given the nature of this. So you and I decided to pop on here. We'll communicate with him as he can throughout the evening as this unfolds. Michael Osborne's with us.
They David Bostoned him, LMAO. I don't know what that means. David Boston's the wide receiver prospect. It's something, I don't know what that means.
Dreams says stunned. Dreams is stunned. Only this would happen after we make an uncharacteristic move. My dream player is no longer going to play here. Back to Vanga at 14. Cole, get the film out. Back to Vanga, baby.
Is Dreams your guy? Is he from your channel?
Yeah, he's the man.
So Dreams has been over on Road Graders talking Vega for weeks, and I haven't seen him since we traded the pick. So Dreams, come on back over. We got to draft. It's funny, Bobby. So I did a bunch of draft profiles last week for pick 14. Monday was supposed to be Vega, and then the Crosby trade happened, so I deleted it. Now I'm gonna have to re-release it, so it'll be coming out to you tomorrow.
hey, always unlist, right? Unlist that sucker.
Yeah, no, I did the delete forever. It even says, "Are you sure you want to delete this forever?"
You felt so confident. Why wouldn't you feel confident? Dream says, did EDC miss his draft picks that much? Theories are just being floated out there about how the Ravens could possibly be in the situation that they've found themselves in. And again, as you see on the screen, and as the Raiders released in an official statement, Baltimore has backed out of its trade agreement for Maxx Crosby after he reportedly failed his physical. Again, you just mentioned that Trey Hendrickson is expected to make a formal decision tomorrow. That's according to Rossini and others. Several teams continue to monitor the market and remain interested. He has offers on the table. Wes Hall, for you.
Absolute F grade start to this offseason. Yeah, it takes a bad turn. It takes a real bad turn, let me tell you. And the sheer embarrassment.
Ryan Grant, buyer's remorse, failed physical redux. We talked about it a minute ago. Add Michael Brockers, Cole, into that as well.
That's another good. Wow, I forgot about that one. You're right. Yeah, that isn't the first time that's happened. You're right. I really don't think it's buyer's remorse, but I guess we'll see as the details emerge. Hopefully Jay-Z can come back in here and maybe give us some details.
We were literally in our waiting room and getting ready to press live, and his not only family in the background, but phone was just lighting up like a Christmas tree. I mean, it was lighting up.
Jeremy, you know how I know I'm not a real journalist? My phone didn't ring. I got texts from my buddies making fun of me.
The text, there's no shortage of texts in the inbox. Luckily, you and I were both spared in the call department. Jordan Schultz received a text from a general manager in the league, and it was quoted as follows: Baltimore is going to sign Trey Hendrickson. Watch. That's from one GM to NFL insider Jordan Schultz. Jeremy says, so we lose everyone and now have nothing to show for it. Max Wolfgame says, can this team just be normal one time? Aye. And Dave's with us, Cole.
Trey Hendrickson realizes he's not going to get what he wants and reduces asking price. EDC knows he can keep them first if he fails physical. Again, I mean, it's possible, but I think that gives you such a bad reputation around the context of trading a $30 million player going into the money they committed yesterday yesterday and today. Again, Raiders had a ton of cap space, so it's not like they would have went off a move to do that, but it just seems like from a business management perspective and a reputation in the NFL, I feel like that would give you a really bad look. And it's a little bit different than a mid-tier free agent, which is also equally dirty, just to be clear about that. Like the buyer's remorse thing with Ryan Grant, and then they go sign Crabtree. Like we all know what was going on there. But it's a little bit different when you do that to a team. So, I mean, again, maybe it'll come out and that's what it is, but that would really surprise me.
Zayad writes, is there any way the trade can happen again? Fuck. No, probably not. The physical has been failed, and they did not meet. Maxx, unfortunately, did not meet the requirement there to officially put this thing across the finish line, which would have taken place at the start of the new league year tomorrow. We Dem Boys says, send the 2 first-round picks for Jalen Carter, member of the Philadelphia Eagles, and CG75 for you, Cole.
My question, what will happen with LJ by tomorrow? I mean, yeah, we were going to kind of touch on this tonight. No one knows, right? Like this isn't one of those things where even the deepest insiders, they don't know. They do not release this information. Jeff has talked about this a few times. He's kind of asked every week. They really aren't sharing that information. The only speculation we have on Lamar's contract situation is what was said at the presser by Bisciotti, the fact that they will restructure, add void years, that kind of mechanism, or they will get an extension done. The extension seems very unlikely. And I mean, if they were trying to put in some man hours to make that happen last minute, now they're very preoccupied by a few things. I'm expecting a restructure announced tomorrow, but I mean, yeah, I mean, they have to, but at the same time, like what the F is going on? Like everything's in shambles right now. Jesus, like it's embarrassing. Like I feel embarrassed right now.
This is the hilarious super chat here. Jeff's doing that emergency mock now that the first round's back in play. He's got to go do a first round mock again. The Ravens now have, as things stand right now, both of their first round draft selections that they were willing to part ways with on Friday night back in their pockets. This is unprecedented. It's happened before, but given the magnitude, given the decision that they made, given the deviation, essentially, right? Them being willing to deviate from organizational philosophy and then to be here now, days later, is hard to properly articulate. And knowing what, Cole, you've already alluded to, what they've lost in free agency, none of which is all that much of a surprise. Yeah, not tendering Keaton, is that somewhat of a surprise? Sure. Is Jordan Stout going to New York somewhat of a surprise? I guess. Is Ardarius? No. Is Ricard? No. Who's the rest of them? I mean, there's 4 of them right now. Likely, definitely not. But this is on a different stratosphere when you're trying to evaluate the element of surprise. Anae's here with us.
How do the Ravens recover Lindy's contract? Yeah, I mean, it was, that now they have Maxx Crosby, Linderbaum. We get our 2 first back. That part's nice, but monumental shift to the Ravens offseason just happened. So how do they recover? They got to find some sort of pass rusher. I mean, I don't even know. Like it just completely blew up their depth chart.
Yeah, this is gutting. Clinton says no bigger loser in this than Jay-Z, who now has to do mock drafts.
I love how people are catching on to how much Jay-Z hates doing mock drafts. It kills me. That's the nice thing about the Ravens collective. Jay-Z finally gets on a podcast and people get to know just how much Jay-Z hates mock drafts. It's great.
Probably the best part of tonight. I know there's not much that you can kind of hang your hat on out there in our audience, but maybe, just maybe, you can find a way to smirk at that. Dream says, could they just rework the trade? Just curious. I mean, look, the physical is an essential part. I'll lean on Nick Cordy, who just has been tweeting about this, and Nick is the over the cap expert and contract analysis and contributor there. He says it's quite something that the Raiders are alleging that the Ravens are, quote, backing out, as you see on the screen, of the trade. The physical is a very standard and essential part of a trade, and it's not that rare that they fall apart when a player fails the physical of a new team. This is why no trade is ever complete until the physical is passed. 99% of the time, the player passes it, but they exist for a very good reason. And that
Did you see his quote tweet on that? He added, I should also add that physicals very much apply to all contracts that have been agreed upon today and yesterday. We could easily see any of those agreements be withdrawn if a physical is failed once the player is assessed by the medical staff of the prospective new team. Now, which is interesting about that was a ton of rumors, a ton of smoke around Tyler Linderbaum having some sort of neck issue that was, I hadn't really heard it lately, but I heard it last offseason when they were in extension talks. So, I mean, obviously I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I think he's just trying to give examples of how it can come up. And basically what he's saying is, if the Ravens did do that physical and they found something concerning, then it's obviously in their best interest to get their first round picks back, because the worst possible outcome could be going into this year, after giving up pick 14, losing your best defensive player, finishing bad in the standings, and then you're giving up another top 15 pick because who you traded for was severely injured. That would be absolutely devastating. So, I mean, they exist to protect the team for a reason. It's like when you buy a house, you get a house inspection. Same idea behind it.
Appreciate you, Dreams. King says, no Lindy, no Max. Thanks, EDU, you effing clown. King is pissed. I'm sure that is somewhat representative of how some of you are feeling. Jay Chase 007 says, why was the physical not done Sunday? Why would it have been done Sunday? This was just how they had their business arranged. Is there something about Sunday that I'm missing? This is just what they had in play. 97G says, don't trades void automatically with failed physicals. That's what we were kind of just talking about there with
Bobby. I just want to hop in. Albert Breer just put out, and this is kind of what I was trying to get at like the reason that if this was a buyer's remorse move, it really hurts the Raiders. So Albert Breer put it out there. This puts the Raiders in an incredibly difficult situation. They lose the picks. They have a bunch of deals to be finalized tomorrow, done under the assumption Maxx Crosby was gone. And now they may have to turn around and trade him again with the medical questions hovering. So again, I highly doubt, from a reputation management perspective, which absolutely matters in any business, and the NFL is a business at the end of the day, that they would be pulling out of this without good reason. And this also goes, if this is one of those things, like if there's truly something on his medicals, the Raiders knew goddamn well about it because he's been in their facility for the last year. So, I mean, you have to think about that as well. They were trying to pull a fast one. Again, we don't know what was found. I'm just saying if they truly found something that would void a trade, it's got to be something significant. But Albert Breer just coming in here with the Raiders perspective, which I think is useful. Again, they have so much cap that I don't think they're screwed on anything. But it's going to be very interesting to see the domino effect.
It's great context. Vince Beemore says this is the third time backing out of a trade. Grant and Brockers, like we talked about, due to a failed physical. Does this hurt us long-term with trading with other teams? Absolutely not. I mean, this is business at the end of the day.
It's the same as a house inspection. If you go see the house and there's something wrong with the house, it's the same idea that the owners probably knew there was something wrong with it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe the foundation's leaking, they didn't know about it. But that's the best comparison I could give us. I just think this is one of those situations where at the end of the day, sometimes we forget that the NFL is a business run just like any other business is. Due diligence is done during any sort of business deal for a reason, all that good stuff.
David Chow, NFL doctor and popular X account, Cole, might be joining us here shortly. I'm going back and forth with his representation on email very randomly. This was not in the cards. So if you see me looking over and typing, that's part of the reasoning. And maybe he can give us and enlighten us and give us some context on this whole the knee component to this process. H445 says, I'm trying to stay positive. It's early and things can upright. Hard not to feel bummed, though. LOL.
Well said. LOL for sure.
Oceans 08 for you.
Great. Now we're depressed again. It's like the from the Water Boy when Robert Schneider goes, "Oh no, we suck again." Right? It's a tough one, folks. It's a real tough one.
And that brings us to thank you, Ocean 08. And Cole, sorry, because I was making sure to get Chow potentially on. Did you read Ocean 08?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're coming up on that 3,000 concurrent number. So needless to say, thank you for being with us tonight. Radioactive Toast says, are we feeling any worse if this shakes out with us having both our picks and Hendrickson or Grenard for a third-round pick? So Jonathan Grenard apparently has been being shopped, Cole, in recent days, maybe even recent weeks, by the Minnesota Vikings. Perhaps he's now in play.
It becomes interesting, right? Because that was part of the reaction. I mean, I would say the general fan reaction was pretty positive around landing Maxx Crosby, but there were a lot of folks out there that were like, why would we go trade 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby when you can get Trey Hendrickson on a contract? Obviously, it's going to probably cost you more contractually, but you could get him without trading the picks. And Jonathan Greenard, we don't know what he's going to go for in a trade or if he goes at all. But probably less than 2 first-round picks. So it becomes that asset management question, especially with the Ravens O-line situation and Vagaione sitting there possibly at pick 14 looking for a place to play. Does the combination of Owane, Hendrickson, and another first-round pick next year beat out Maxx Crosby? I think it's a very fair discussion. I have a hard time disagreeing with you. I think that's definitely got to be part of it.
Diana Rossini with more context here as of moments ago. Jeff's counterpart, of course, at The Athletic. After Maxx Crosby underwent testing today at the Ravens facility, Baltimore made the decision as an organization that it could not move forward with the deal based on the results of the medical. Crosby will remain a Raider for now, as other teams can weigh any potential risk that comes with trading for him. So, again, nothing crazy new to that reporting, and I'm just making sure we have a fully. How about this? Jeff's news story is already out. What an absolute savage turnaround from Jeff Zrebiec, our co-host here inside the collective, who is obviously distracted and handling his athletic commitments right now. Back to Super Chats we go. Appreciate you, Radioactive, and appreciate all of you for being with us. If you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. Ryan says, I guarantee Crosby goes elsewhere and balls out. And that brings us to Excel Studios for you.
Is there any way we retrade for Crosby? I mean, I doubt it. If they found medicals, there's something up that isn't passing the sniff test. Now, the question becomes, does it pass the sniff test? Will you take that risk? Because that's what it's really about, I'm assuming, is they don't want to give up 2 first-round picks and take the risk of whatever they found. Would they do that for less compensation? What if it's a third-round pick this year and next year's second, or whatever they land on? I mean, it's theoretically possible, but I would imagine there's going to be some bad blood between the Raiders and Ravens. And it goes both ways. I think the Ravens are probably pissed off that they agreed to a deal with a team that most likely, again, I'm not saying they did because we don't know, but most likely had some sort of awareness of what they were going to find on these medicals.
This has disaster written all over it, knowing what's already transpired in the last 24 hours or so. And, literally an hour before I came on here with you, I was walking and talking folks off the ledge by saying, hey, free agency started not only on Friday night, but months ago when they extended Travis Jones. And sure, it wasn't everyone's favorite, but Mark Andrews, who's still has production left in his tank. Does he have as much upside and is he as young right now as Isaiah Likely? No, he is not, but it was a productive in-season from a contract standpoint. Less notable were John Jenkins and Nick Moore, but free agency had started for DeCosta and company months back. And so I was trying to tell people, hey, I'm looking at it from that lens. Well, now it's hard to look at it from any positive lens, and that's just the reality. And they're going to be forced to pivot and pivot quickly. Stevito says someone cut their hair on X since they got Max. What does this mean? Someone cut their hair on X.
I don't know, but I do know that I don't have to go jump in the harbor anymore. So Cole comes out on top.
And my accommodation coordination is officially off, which is nice. JS19 Ravens for you.
This is a disaster. This is a disaster. Trey isn't even half the player that Crosby is. If that is their route. Sorry. Meanwhile, that bald-headed stooge is going to take a safety in the first round. How bad is his knee? First off, Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks not that long ago. Trey Hendrickson's a really good football player. Aging, but still very effective, still very good. But much like what happened with kind of the guard situation is, there's going to be multiple teams competing for these players, and the Ravens are going to end up getting a pass rusher of some sort, but is it going to be the right pass rusher? And I think with the John Simpson guard situation, we could see how that might not happen. So the question becomes, who do they land? But I'm not going to stand here and say Trey Hendrickson isn't good. He's very good. I definitely disagree with you there. That being said, I think that first round pick that turns back to the O-line, right? Which is where our concern is. But as Jeff put out in his tweet, I think he said it extremely well. They now badly need another high impact pass rusher. So, you get your first round pick back, but you have just another need that you have to address that, Maxx Crosby helped you address.
Ryan says EDC should have been thrown to the curb with John. CD Stack says, was there weed in that blunt or was it a virgin backwoods? Would a drug test even be part of a physical? He was having himself a nice night. The night that this went down or the night after over the weekend, partying with Shabuzi in Vegas, celebrating 6 years of sobriety. Make of that what you will. Steve, for you.
I just want to add something because Tom Pelissero put it out there. Because Dallas pivoted, and this is what everybody's pivoting now. Dallas pivoted and traded for Rashawn Gary, and he put it out there that Dallas could still get out of that trade with Rashawn Gary and re-engage in a Maxx Crosby trade because they were the other team that was interested. So, this is like you don't see this type of drama anywhere other than the NBA, and it's been interesting this offseason with the trades and signings to see the NFL get on the NBA's level in terms of a crazy offseason. But go to Steve here. Where does this team pivot to now? What a blunder. Yeah, I think you kick the tires on what they're looking for Jonathan Greenard. And I would put all my eggs in the Trey Hendrickson basket. I was very interested in him prior to the trade. And again, I think you can go out and spend the money you were planning on committing to Maxx Crosby anyway, so that the team's willing to live with that type of cap hit, and you go out and you go after Trey hard, get him to come back into the AFC North and play against the Bengals twice that didn't want to pay him what he felt he was worth. So maybe the Ravens do that and he can get some revenge against Joe Burrow and a division rival.
I now know what was being referred to in that previous super chat. At Hamilton _DPOY.
Okay.
Is a Ravens Twitter follow.
Yeah.
Nate on March 4th, his name is Nate, tweeted, if the Ravens happen to trade for Maxx Crosby, I will completely shave my head.
And he did it?
Nate, an hour ago, welcomed Maxx Crosby to Baltimore with a selfie of his shaven head.
Nate, my guy.
Guess what hasn't been a thing for an hour yet? This.
Holy. Is that okay? Yeah, I just found it. Wow. I got 45. He tagged Old Takes Exposed himself.
Unbelievable.
That's fucking incredible. That just made my night. Oh man. So go check that out. Again, at Hamilton _DPOY. That'd be as if I drove to Baltimore on the weekend and jumped in the harbor.
Holy shit. Let's get an actual timestamp on this to know if he did it to himself. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. He had no clue. I got the timestamps in front of me. He had no clue. The Raiders tweeted this out at 8:02. He was 45 minutes in front of it. So that is insanity. MDaddy006 says EDC went from doing a great job to WTF in 4 days. Michael Silver Michael, of course, is a well-known author, national columnist for The Athletic, well-respected reporter. He says, bottom line, this absolutely could be a case of the Ravens being scared away by the state of Crosby's knee. It could also be buyer's remorse with the failed physical as an excuse. And other teams might view those same results differently and decide to take the risk. We wait and see on those theories. M. Daddy, appreciate the super chat. Cole, that brings us to Adrian.
Go get AG, Lindy back, and Trey. Yeah, or AJ. Yeah, I mean, like, we're going to have to see what the pivot is.
Unreal. Let's make sure we get a visual up on the screen just because, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a chance to laugh just for a moment. But here is what we were referring to. Let's go like this. And then go like, hold on a second here. Doing a little bit of real-time production. And let's throw this up on the screen.
Oh, man.
Oh, Nate. The least you guys can do is go follow him. Follow him at Hamilton_DPOY because 45 minutes prior to this news, Nate tweeted out what he promised he would do, and that was shave his head. So, prayers up for him. Back to the super chats we go. Appreciate you, Adrian. And that brings us to another one. It's just times 2. Adrian decided to drop in 2 of these super chats. And Andrew Browning writes, I'm going to need you guys to calm me down or something. I've never been a negative person about the Ravens, but with the Crosby trade over with and the poor offseason so far, it's getting extremely hard to be positive. Do you sympathize with him as a fan, Cole?
It's funny because I was having, I was accused of negativity yesterday, and that was with Maxx Crosby on the team. It's been a tough start. I really didn't like the John Simpson deal. I don't even know if we're going to touch on it tonight. Might have to come back here tomorrow and touch on the fuller offseason. But I really wasn't happy with the John Simpson deal. Again, I was hanging my hat on the fact that, they went out and got Maxx Crosby. They made a big move. They made a big risk, and with no Maxx Crosby, the defense looks a lot different. And it's funny. I did multiple film videos on the channel this weekend, so I'll leave them up because get the clicks. But it's crazy just to kind of spend all that time and energy into a player that's not even going to be on the team now. It's wild.
Andrew, appreciate you. BME writes, sign Hendrickson and trade Bateman in a 2027 first for AJ Brown, potentially being shopped by Howie Roseman and company. By the way, well before all this took place, Reek Woolen, the Patriots, the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl winning cornerback, he made some questionable decisions on emotional judgment calls throughout the postseason, but he is now a Philadelphia Eagle. So Reek Woolen, one of the veteran corners that was out there about to hit the open market, goes to Philadelphia. Bucket Bomber Win says Ravens get what it deserves for not firing EDC and having the worst case scenario covered 36 hours into free agency. He'll be lurking on the sideline again next year, posing with designer shades and leather for television. Emotions running high tonight. That brings us to, this is a perfect one for you, Cole, Brad McCauley.
Fuck! Well, you know what? Can we just make that the thumbnail? Because Brad McCauley, you just nailed the fan base. There's nothing else to say. There's no other reaction. That's the reaction. Brad McCauley absolutely nails it.
Look, I know it's the unprecedented. It is not the proper wording because we already talked about the Grants and the Brockers of the world. But given the magnitude, given the pivot from an organizational philosophy standpoint, I do think that word applies. This is unprecedented. So maybe not by definition, given we've seen it before, but by magnitude, by urgency, by player, by game-changing potential that was on its way, not on its way, that had made it to Baltimore, Cole. He was in the facility, and now he is no longer. And just as this is happening, our third co-host makes an appearance on what feels like an unprecedented evening in Baltimore. As you tweeted, Jeff, this has happened before, but given the magnitude, this does feel different. Let's reset things. We've gotten a lot of super stickers in your absence, but your thoughts as your phone rings, your family freaks out in the background as Maxx Crosby's trade is off, according to the Raiders.
Yeah, this excuse me, guys. This is obviously a tough situation, and nobody looks good in situations like this. Now we saw the Raiders put it on the Ravens. I don't know if the Ravens will shoot back. So far, I'm getting a bunch of no comments. I don't think you want to go public because you hurt the player, and then then you hurt your relationship with the player's agent. And Maxx Crosby has very powerful agents in this league. So I think you got to be careful what you say going forward. You don't want to further mar the player's earning ability and ability to latch on, but nobody comes out good looking at situations like this. This is the type of thing that will linger for some time. And you just wonder, will there be a distrust among other teams about dealing with the Ravens in such trades? Will agents be concerned? Will it piss off players? That stuff all will be, we'll figure that stuff out all in the days ahead. We're still in the preliminary stages here, figuring out what went on. But what we know is he failed his physical. He's been in Baltimore. The Ravens are clearly pissed off about this on their end. I know they're going to be accused of, maybe having buyer's remorse in some circles and backing out. It's not unprecedented. They have backed out of free agent deals before. However, I can't prove that right now. What went on? Talking to people with them, it sounds like they're angry about this, and they felt like they were thrilled to get Crosby. So we'll see where they go from here. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson, people are already hitting me up about that, saying, watch, he'll be signed by tomorrow. I don't know that right now. All this is just happening, but man, are they in a bad hole. An offseason that was going as poorly as it can, just got even worse. And, 10 free agents are gone, and they've holes all over the roster, and their options to fill them aren't exactly plentiful at the moment. So we'll see how this develops in the next couple of days.
So Jay-Z, from your perspective, and the kind of just to catch you up, I mean, you nailed a bunch of things that we've already kind of gone through, but one of the resounding questions we're getting, and I mean, these are so rare that maybe we just don't know, is there a possibility to re-engage in a different deal, or is this just DOA?
It seems like both. When you make a step like the Raiders did about putting that statement out, clearly pointing the finger, that tells me the situation is unsalvageable. And I imagine Maxx Crosby isn't thrilled now that his medical is kind of on the street now, and he was prepared to come here and be a Raven. So I just don't see, I could be wrong, but I think you try that, and then you work it out. And if you can't work it out, you get statements like the one on our screen. To me, if there's any chance of working it out, the Raiders would not have sent that statement. So I'm guessing it. I have not, I'm guessing it's DOA. I don't know how you can walk back something like this.
Makes sense.
And in the 45 minutes that you've been working the phones, getting your news story out since we were about to go live, you made it abundantly clear that who you've spoken to, they are angry.
They're not happy that this has happened. Now, I saw there's a report out there that they felt like the Raiders misrepresented the condition of his knee, was the report, I believe. And I haven't gotten any confirmation on that as of yet. As I said, the Ravens I imagine, are huddling as we speak to decide how they're going to handle this. But what we do know is there was significant concerns over the results of the physical that he took today, and they just decided to them they couldn't go through with it given what they found in the physical.
Yeah, and just to go back to the December injury that I'm assuming is coming up, so it was a meniscus injury. That's when they chose to sit him out in week 17, and he left the facility because he was pissed off that he was sitting out. So I saw some folks in the chat ask what the injury was. It was a meniscus injury.
And surgery to follow in January. And so we're 2 months removed now from that. And your colleague, Diana Rossini, noting first that This was a failed physical, which Mark Erickson is having a good time with. As we get back to super chats, he writes, payment of the super chat is pending a physical.
I don't think I can
Runaway.
pass one right
There
now.
he goes. The phone is a ringing. Runaway pony for you, Cole.
Plot twist: Lamar's boom tweet was actually the sound of the team imploding. It's definitely not. It's definitely not good.
There he goes.
They're
working tonight, man. He is working tonight.
We are seeing real reporting in live action, and I gotta say, it's actually quite entertaining.
Well, and hey, we're just gonna weather the storm here because, look, he just uncovered the Ravens are pissed. Is that groundbreaking? No, but it's interesting. The Ravens are pissed, and if that call is worthy of popping off the screen, then we're gonna learn something in a couple minutes when he gets back on here. So. We appreciate Jeff's time tonight, obviously, as he multitasks in very unique conditions. That brings us to MDaddy006. He writes down. take this mother.
Could you fucking imagine that? That's the plot twist, is that he ends up with the New York Giants. That would be holy shit. That MDaddy, bravo. That was a good one.
Read that whole damn thing.
John Harbaugh is about to bring Maxx Crosby to New York. He will continue to piss in our eyes. It's perfectly stated for our audio listeners out there.
I was going to say, that's for our audio group. Raven Bama O's. That's a reminder, shameless plug. We do have all these episodes repurposed in audio-only form for you. Raven Bama O's writes, technically the Ravens can still sign Likely and others since those aren't official until tomorrow. Nothing's official until tomorrow, which is why this Maxx Crosby deal is off, because it wasn't official until his physical passing and as the new league year begins tomorrow. Thank you, Raven Bama. And that brings us to Tank Bromansky for you.
I'm about to flip the table. What the fuck? Well said.
How do you get all these ones? Ryan says all the absolute bombs are handled by you. Ryan says they knew he had a knee injury. Shaking my damn head, EDC.
I think it stuck my dick.
Oh, man. That's what it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Hold on. Let's make sure Ryan gets his due.
Are we supposed to be a clean podcast? I don't know. I just kind of let it fly.
Borna, you out there, Borna? Let us know. Send us a memo.
Borna, let me know. Am I crossing the line?
Colin Donahue walking down memory lane says, reminds me of take it.
Yeah, reminds me of Zadarius Smith deal back out. Safe to say, EDC has to crush the draft. I mean, I think this might be the biggest trade story since Terrell Owens, right? And I know it's a different situation, but for those of you that don't remember, in 2004, the Baltimore Ravens trade, I believe it was a second-round pick for Terrell Owens, and Owens said, I'm not going to Baltimore. He refused to come after they were, and it wasn't a first-round pick. That would have been nice to kind of put a bow on the narrative with Ozzie at the helm, but it was a second-round pick, and then he ended up getting flipped to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think this has got to be the biggest trade story since that Terrell Owens gaffe, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Gene, I think it's a good comparison to draw. Gene writes, I guess it's time for AJ Brown then, hashtag defund the D. And that brings us to Evan for you.
I'm old enough to remember the Terrell Owens trade disaster. This stings much worse. It does. It absolutely does. I think my takeaway, I didn't really say it, but if the Ravens are truly pissed, that leads me to believe that they found something that they would have fully expected the Raiders knew about. And again, I'm speculating, and that's obviously a positive spin from the Ravens' perspective. So, I mean, it's basically that versus the buyer's remorse angle, and people, I'm sure, will debate this online for days to come, probably weeks, maybe months, maybe a year if you're me. But if that's the big takeaway is that the Ravens are infuriated by this situation, which I think is helpful context. It's not buyer's remorse in that case, because they wouldn't be mad. They'd probably be happy that they're getting out of it. So this tells me they found something they weren't expecting.
Kobe says, unless Max's knee is degenerative, this deal should have gone through. This feels like EDC's getting cold feet after trading 2 first-rounders. Now we have no offensive line and no defensive line depth on day 2 of free agency.
I just
That's
like he
one way to
knows
look
what
at
he's
it.
trading. Like I don't understand how they would have sat around that table. We know they were all in Jupiter last week with Steve Bisciotti leading up to the day the trade was made. It was Minter, it was EDC, it was all the top guys. This trade was well fleshed out. Like I just can't see how you possibly get buyer's remorse. Nothing has impacted the market since. It's not like Trey Hendrickson just became a free agent. It's not like Jonathan Greenard's rumored trade availability came out after the fact. All of those were known factors. I don't know how you sit around the table with the top dogs, make that decision, especially when you're sitting beside the owner who employs you, and then you make that change. I can't see the buyer's remorse angle. The buyer's remorse angle only makes sense if something else changed after the fact. So again, with Ryan Grant failing his physical, the theory was it was because Michael Crabtree became available because he was cut after that signing happened, and then the Ravens went out and made that signing. So I just don't see it as a buyer's remorse. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Jeff, anything new to add on your end?
No, still kind of developing, but this guy had surgery in January, and I think it's his 8th surgery in basically 7 NFL seasons. So my question is, in January, I mean, what would you expect the need? Like, this wasn't really all that simple of a surgery. Like, I think Ian Rappaport said it was a repair, right? Not just a trim. Am I correct? So the question is, what did they hear? What did they know when they made this deal? They obviously didn't think it was major to impact his availability to play for them and to be ready for the season. And what they saw in the physical, obviously, taught them something differently in their mind. So, we'll see what happens, but what a disaster. I mean, it's just, as I said, nobody looks good in this. This will be a big story in the NFL for the next couple of days for sure. And I imagine there will be some harsh words exchanged. I'm sure there already has behind the scenes. And I imagine there will be some public finger pointing as well. We already see it that the Raiders started that process.
Hey, so a couple things here. One, we've got former pro football doctor David Chow in the waiting room. We're going to bring him on in just a second briefly to talk about this. He's got over 17 years of experience as a former head team doctor in the National Football League. But Jeff, just to kind of piggyback off of what you were alluding to there from Ian Rappaport, a source clarified to him that he underwent a minor meniscus repair. So you got that correct. Not a trim on January 7th, meaning his recovery will be measured in months, not weeks. A meniscus trim is often 4 to 6 weeks of recovery, while a repair can be 3 to 4 months. Crosby's should be shorter. This is from Ian on February 8th of 2026. We're not doctors here. Luckily, Dr. Chow is, and he joins us now live on a very unique evening. Welcome inside the collective, Dr. Chow. Can you tell us the difference, first and foremost, between a trim and a repair here?
Absolutely. And maybe I just got the link on my computer. Maybe that'll be easier than my phone. Sorry, obviously a little bit informal here.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Here, I'm going to go ahead and we'll get you in horizontal mode. There he is. And who do you have with you tonight, too?
Yeah, I've got my daughter with me here, and I'm casual, but I just got finished with my second or third job, which is Uber running the kids around from one to another to a place, and had to help out a friend who my son went one way and he was going another. And anyways, so well, I'm on. Sorry about this. I've only heard about this through text messages with you guys and the Believe crew. Here's obviously. Look, on the Believe podcast, the Sports Injury Central podcast on Believe, and I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, one of the reasons why Maxx Crosby's trade has been slow is he can't pass a physical yet. He's not 100%. Once the trade was announced, we were saying this Monday on the podcast that no trade is final until the physical is passed. And the analogy is this. you may buy, I'm sure some of you have bought a home or sold a home. You enter into a contract to buy the home and it enters into escrow. There's an inspection clause. That's the physical. You get 10 or 14 days to inspect the home. It doesn't have to be falling down. It can have an old roof, and you can decide the answer is, I don't want to buy the home. I don't want the escrow to close or proceed. And the Ravens obviously found something where they don't want to. Now, where it's not a surprise to me is, look, I heard you guys reading Ian Rappaport's tweet. Love Ian to death. A meniscus repair timeline is longer than 3 to 4 months. And there's no such thing as a minor meniscus repair, except it's on somebody else, not involving you, right? And repair is healing time. It's minimum 4 to 6 months is the typical. Look, it's the Ravens' prerogative to decide that he didn't pass the physical. We don't even know for sure it's the knee that he didn't pass, but that's the assumption. I could have predicted for you a December surgery, early March. You're not 100% in passing the physical. I could have told you this from afar. At Super Bowl, I was talking about it. When Mike Silver was saying a trade is imminent, I said, yeah, maybe what's holding it up is the physical portion. Now, did the Ravens find out about it? I'm sure they did, right? They made phone calls, and I'm sure the agent was involved somehow and maybe releasing the electronic medical records. But obviously, they found something that they're not completely comfortable with at this point in time. And it is absolutely normal that no trade is final until the physical is passed. However, it is relatively unusual for it to happen. And the same for these dozens of free agent signings that have been announced over the last 24, 48 hours. None of those are final yet until a physical is passed. And Roger Saffold with the Oakland Raiders, shoe on the other foot, failed a physical with the Raiders when he was with the St. Louis Rams. And now it's the Raiders on the other end of a refusal, not a signing, but a trade.
Get a load of this. Tom Pelissero just moments ago. And by the way, Dr. Chow, thank you for joining us on such short notice. You've got close to 2 decades of experience as a former head team doctor in the National Football League, and you can be found on X or Twitter at Pro Football Doc. We got a big show tonight for obvious reasons. Over 3,500 concurrents and counting. So thank you all for being with us tonight. Pelissero just shared a text that a general manager sent him, which in his words summarized the feelings around the league. And the quote was this: "This is very much bullshit on Baltimore's part." Your thoughts?
Well, look, I get it. The difference, my escrow analogy in buying a home is different in this way. The seller of the home is going to be pissed when the buyer says the home didn't pass inspection and they're backing out of escrow, because you had to pull the home off the market, right? And typically when it goes back on the market, you don't get as much for your home the second time around, right? And so I get why the Raiders are not happy. And around the NFL, and I talked about it on the Believe podcast, this does surprise me that the trade didn't go through, even though I've been saying for the whole time, no trade is final until you pass a physical. And what I've been saying is I don't think Maxx Crosby technically passes a physical today. He could project to pass a physical, and the Ravens pass him on that basis. But he's not ready to play football today. He does not pass a physical today. So the Ravens legally are on solid ground to say no. But since it's a brotherhood in the NFL, there's going to be a lot of hurt feelings from the Raiders and others around the league. And that's what Tom Pelissero is referring to. There's sort of a code of honor. Now, the Ravens are likely going to say, no, we did our due diligence and we thought it was fine. And we went with the best of intentions, but we found something we didn't like else beyond what could have been projected in the league-wide electronic medical records. So I'm not taking sides on this. I'm just trying to decipher the process of how it works. And I can give you all of the Ravens' side, which is they're in the right to say no. They have every right to say no. And there's nothing Roger Goodell or the league can do about it. But the Raiders, And the rest of the NFL is not going to be happy about it, especially the Raiders are not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to go next before we get you on out of here. And Cole, did you have anything? I want to talk about the Raiders business moving forward now and how you project this to impact and affect their dealings. Because, I mean, look, think about the last 72 plus hours. Max has released his statement on his social accounts, over 12 plus minutes, heavy emotions. He's going to Baltimore. He's already photographed and photoshopped into the 98 jersey in purple and black. And he's atop one of the hotels in Harbor East from the Four Seasons taking videos of M&T Bank Stadium. And people are saying that this is going to be the missing piece. And now the Raiders are in this situation that you certainly don't envy. How does this affect their business moving forward, if anything?
Well, my assumption is that Baltimore was trying to do the right thing, but decided that they couldn't for whatever reason. My assumption is also that the Raiders are trying to do the right thing, that they didn't hide any information about the meniscus repair or whatever it was. That's my assumption as well. I think both things can be true, but this puts the Raiders in a hard spot. Look, a lot of teams that were in the bidding for Maxx Crosby have made alternate moves. It's hard for them to unwind those alternate moves. Dallas was rumored to be one of the teams. Maybe they didn't offer the 2 firsts. I don't know. But they've made other moves since then, in terms of cap space, free agent signings. And are they going to go back, and I'm not picking on the Cowboys, and unwind their moves look, Jalen Phillips signed somewhere else. Of course, he's got to pass the physical too, but I don't think there's any reason he wouldn't pass the physical. He finished the season healthy. Now, there would have to be some shenanigans to undo that one, but this one makes sense. The Ravens definitely have a leg to stand on, legally and otherwise, and they will face no discipline from the league whatsoever. They're with 100% in their right to say, we're not doing this deal. It's going to cause consternation. The Raiders are going to be unhappy about it. That I get too. But no, this is not, no offense here, this is not John Harbaugh and the Ravens saying Lamar Jackson was full practice when he was scout team.
Right.
That's a finable offense. That's not right. The Ravens here are in the complete right, within the rights to say we didn't like something on the physical.
So basically what I'm taking away from this, just to kind of summarize for our listeners and anyone that's joined. So I guess a nice way to kind of put a bow on it is if the Ravens did their own medical analysis with their team doctors and they came away with something that they either found that they felt was misrepresented or they found that they weren't expecting, then they didn't satisfy the conditions of the trade. Therefore, they pull out. So, I mean, it really comes down, I guess, the X factor, and we may never know the truth behind this. This is going to be one of those things with theory. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, doctor.
Let me make one small modification to what you said.
Yep.
The Raiders didn't have to misrepresent anything for the Ravens to back out of the trade.
Right.
I'm just making this clear. I'm not saying the Ravens were right and the Raiders did something wrong. I'm not taking sides on this. I'm just making the observation. The Raiders could have represented everything honestly, and the Ravens could have said, yes, the Raiders told me everything, but now that our doctor is looking at it, we just don't like it. Going back to the analogy of closing escrow on a home, the roof isn't leaking and the home is inhabitable, but I just don't like how old the roof is and the fact that I'm going to have to replace the roof. I want out of this escrow. I didn't know the roof was in that bad of a condition, even if it wasn't leaking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be misrepresentation on the part of the seller. It's just discovery on the part of the buyer.
That's a really good clarification. You're right. I was leading, I guess, towards the Ravens' positive perspective of this. That's a good clarification.
Yeah, and like, I hope you guys and your listeners realize I got no axe to grind on this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Ravens are wrong. I'm defending the Ravens. I'm also not saying the Raiders were wrong. I'm just making the observation. And if you go back on my timeline for weeks, I've been saying there's always the physical, and I've put it on record on Monday. Maxx Crosby does not pass a physical today to play football because of the meniscus repair. The timeline is too short. That doesn't mean he won't pass. That doesn't mean the Ravens couldn't have understood that, projected it, and accepted him. And that's probably why the Raiders are going to be mad.
Dr. Chow, we have your official X account up on the screen right now. We just dropped the link into the live chat. We have over 3,500 concurrents, so we hope that folks will give you a follow. And if they learned something from the last 10, 15 minutes or so, shoot you a thank you note. And we certainly thank you for doing this in a pinch and providing your expertise. So have a great night, and let's see how all this shakes out. I appreciate the
casual nature, the daughter, the T-shirt, the dog, whatever.
No, it's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you for jumping on so quickly.
All right. Thank you.
Totally. Thank you. Dr. David Chow, again, Colt, over 15 years of experience as a head team doctor in the National Football League. And
we got more breaking news though, Bobby. I got to jump in here really quick because so everybody's favorite news breaking dog, Ricky Scoops, the infamous Ricky Scoops, the known insider who he's been wrong, but he's also been right, just tweeted he's now hearing that Trey Hendrickson is heading to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, and
that is going to be quite the story. So here's just based on what Dr. Chow was saying, and what I was going with kind of there with that summary is, it's all going to come down to everyone's opinion on this is going to come down to whether you believe or disbelieve the Ravens found something that they didn't like. And that's going to determine whether or not you think it was buyer's remorse or if you think it was just a situation where they genuinely found something that they were concerned about and they're protecting themselves. As Dr. Chow kind of explained, within how these things work, they're well within their rights to do that. So that's kind of good context just to have there. And there's the tweet from, you see Engraven with the reaction there. Engraven, good friend of the program, with the Kim Kardashian peak tweet. I always love that one. But I mean, like, this is where you get into that, Michael Brockers, Ryan Grant vibe where the failed physical happens and then they go make a different move. But again, in my opinion on this, and fans may disagree with me, I think that's a really bad look. If they got buyer's remorse and pivoted to a player that they knew was going to be available. It's not like this was news. So, I mean, again, your opinion's going to be based on whether or not you think there was something in those medicals that scared the Ravens off. Whether or not it was misrepresented doesn't really matter. It's more about what they found and whether or not they were comfortable with it. But to pivot to that will be quite the look.
And here it is, to your point, exercise caution, but Ricky is a slick, smooth operator, and he clearly has a level of network and interconnection within the National Football League. And so this will be one to watch, as we've discussed many times throughout the course of tonight's show. Let's get back to some super chats. And hey, we are coming up on 7,000 subscriptions. It would be great to hit that milestone given the magnitude of tonight. So if you find yourself watching right now, over 3,400 concurrents, and we are expecting Jeff to return to the program at some point. If you find yourself watching and you are not yet subscribed, we would love for you to change that. Thank you in advance. Kyle's with us, and he writes, we just went an entire year with a guy out, presumably for a medical reason. Risking being in the same position is probably not something EDC was willing to do. Great perspective. We haven't talked about
a really good point after the Nnamdi Madubuike situation. It definitely might have given them a different look at some of these issues that they see as potential future risk. Again, like I said, and I'll keep repeating it, your opinion on this is going to be based on whether or not you think they found something or if it's BS. And I mean, we're going to see a fury of opinions on this, but I think having some anxiety around the medical is relevant to what they just dealt with Nnamdi Madubuike. I don't think you can ignore that connection.
Yeah. And hey, just to kind of reiterate things that we've mentioned either explicitly or, alluded to, this is a player in Hendrickson who is older than Crosby and is also coming off an injury, but he's 2 years removed, not even, from being the reigning sack getter, and you get to keep your first round picks. So context there in terms of if they do indeed pivot to Trey Hendrickson. Jay-Z, welcome back.
Jay-Z, getting to watch you actually do your job and live has just been exhilarating for me. Like I've been running upstairs and grabbing some goldfish in between kind of segments here, and you're actually going and working. So, I mean, kudos to you, my man.
I'm sorry. Like I feel guilty that I've been able to, there's my phone ringing again.
You take that and you join us when you can. All right, just come on back on.
You do you, man. You got a real job.
I'll pop on that in a second. I feel guilty. It's tough. I'll be working up late through the night. But yeah, I mean, it's clear. I think both sides are moving on here. I don't know what the Raiders are going to do. The Ravens need to find a pass rusher at some point here. And I don't think anybody's happy about this resolution. I really don't. I think, there's ways, I guess, you can recover from it, at least from the Ravens' perspective. You can go out and acquire somebody else or trade for somebody else but it's tough, as I said earlier, that there won't be some long-term hard feelings about this, some finger pointing. I've already seen some national writers say people are snickering around the NFL, saying it was a classic case of buyer's remorse. I think the Ravens are just going to have to take the bullets because they're not going to want to come forward with what they saw or what concerned them about Trey Hendrickson's physical. Jesus Christ. So they're not going to want to come forward. They're not going to want to come forward about what they saw because, again, it's a slap in the face to the player. So it's just, again, both sides are moving on, and this offseason's getting wackier by the minute.
Well, so luckily we had Dr. Chow on, who has, almost 2 decades of experience as a former NFL head team doctor that is in this league. And, you mentioned that timeline versus the repair against the trim as it relates to the meniscus procedure that Maxx went through in January. And Dr. Chow thought that timeline was rich, to say the very least. So some interesting context there in terms of,
it's been said, guys, but and I dealt with this with the Orioles because remember, when I covered the Peter Angelos Orioles, and every time a player had a physical, everyone would hold their breath because the Orioles were sticklers about that. And I've dealt with it now a few times for the Ravens. With the Ravens, the Michael Brocker situation and the Ryan Grant situation, I was covering the team for those. I wasn't covering the team for the Brock Marion one. I know this could happen, but it's never happened in a deal of this magnitude. And that'll ultimately add to it, as will some of the criticism. There'll be a lot of layers to this. There'll be some talk that the Ravens were upset about losing Linderbaum and, this, that, and the other thing. It's just, look, the Raiders could turn around and trade Maxx Crosby tomorrow to another team, and that other team could pass his physical. It's just each team has a different threshold for medical tolerance on what they accept. I mean, the Ravens have clearly shown they're pretty big sticklers on this. And, this is a long-term thing too, guys. It doesn't mean they're worried about, it could be they're worried about his long-term, that something happened where they view it as a future problem, not necessarily a current one that would impact his 2026 season, but potentially a problem that could impact his staying power and getting value out of him under his contract. So, it's, we'll see where Ravens move forward, and we'll see what happens to Crosby, but we haven't heard the last of this for sure, as you can tell by my phone just blowing nuts.
And so too are super chats. Call me City Boy says in caps, why do we have the worst luck? If you don't laugh, you'll cry. Who's next on the board, fellas? And where's Jeff's shiny head to rub it for some luck?
All we can do is laugh right now.
Yeah, all I can do is laugh and check my messages.
He's back, and make sure you keep your primary employer happy. That goes without saying.
Yeah, I gotta bounce in a couple minutes.
Before we get into these, like, if they pivot and sign Trey Hendrickson tomorrow, is it not just way too? I just can't imagine that they sat around and kind of how you and I summarized on Friday, the fact that everybody was down together in Jupiter. They made this decision seemingly together. I just can't fathom how there'd be buyer's remorse. It just, am I crazy? Like, it just seems.
Oh yeah, if they turn around and trade for Trey Henderson, there will be a lot. Acquire Trey Hendrickson. He's a free agent. There will be a lot of snickering and
bad look. It's a really bad look.
But from their perspective, do you just sit out and not add anybody because people are going to be upset and hurt your team this year? So I'm guessing they just move on and realize they're going to probably have to take some bullets here and try to get somebody. You can't go into the season with Mike Green, Tavius Robinson, and Disa Isaac as your only three edge guys. So my guess is they do pivot and they go after somebody. Question is who and when. But if it's Hendrickson, and I think I've seen reports that he's planning to sign tomorrow or he's making a decision tomorrow. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah.
If it's him, yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be it's good. As I said, it's gonna kind of be a shit show if that's the result, and they'll have to be prepared for that. In the grand scheme of things.
Let's bring Kobe back up, and as we transition to Super Chat, KP writes, Max is now on the first team, almost Ravens, meaning almost Ravens. Adam's with us, Cole.
If we sign Hendrickson and it won't excite me, I'm hurt. I mean, I'll be pretty fired up. I mean, we get our 14th overall pick back. You get a premier pass rusher. It's a weird situation. We're going to have to, I guess, get more details on what exactly happened. But I'll be pretty excited. Talked about Trey quite a bit going into the free agency period.
For what it's worth, Rossini's reporting that the Cowboys are not expected to re-engage in Crosby trade discussions at this time. They were in it before they went and pivoted to Rashawn Gary via trade.
And guys, the other thing is the Raiders just lost $30 million of cap space after spending about $1 billion yesterday. So,
which is funny because they're still not anywhere near the limit. Like, that's how much money they've been operating with. But we talked about that. Like, it's a chain reaction, and that's why, like, I can understand from the Raiders' perspective why they'd be pissed off. I mean, they operated as if Maxx Crosby wasn't going to be on their team, and that includes the $30 million cap hit. Like, it's a big deal.
Evan writes,
here's Mike. Go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead.
No, all you.
No, here's what I would like to know about the process, and I apologize if Dr. Chow brought this up, but what happened? These trades that you can agree to, but you can't execute. Now, obviously, the Raiders gave Maxx Crosby and the Ravens permission to bring him into Baltimore early before Wednesday at 4 to take the physical before the trade. So we know that, but did the Ravens, what did they have in their hands before agreeing to the deal? Did they exchange medical information? Did they talk to his surgeon? How much of that went on? What kind of homework did they do before agreeing to the deal? And are you allowed to do that when you're not even allowed to consummate a trade till 4 p.m.? So obviously, I think they'd have to trust the Raiders' word in a lot of ways. Okay, what are we dealing with here? What does his knee look like? But how much did they see before they said, you know what, we're going to do this deal? And if they saw the MRI before they agreed to it, obviously the Raiders are going to have a gripe. You knew what you were dealing with. You saw the MRI. Did the MRI they took today show something different that they didn't expect to see? That's all stuff that would be what questions I have. Did anything change? Did they even see it? How much medical information did they have last Friday when they agreed to make the deal? And what differently did they, if they did have that, what differently did they see today that prompted a change of opinion that they would not go through this trade?
Evan writes, shocking that a team Tom Brady's a part of does some sketchy cheating BS, trying to trade damaged goods for 2 firsts. Any chance to take a swipe at the old AFC rival? They take it. And Cole excels with us.
Yeah. The Ravens pulled a presser for this. That's a Jay-Z question.
Yeah, that's a no. I don't think you'll hear. I don't think beyond a comment from Eric DeCosta saying, I'm not going to discuss it. I don't think we'll hear any more of this from the Ravens. Now, I'm sure there'll be stories written and stuff sourced, but I can't imagine, unless they're taking so much heat, they just feel like they need to fire back. But if you fire back again, then you're throwing Maxx Crosby under the bus and you're casting him. I mean, kind of the damage is done, but you're further casting him as damaged goods and perhaps hurting his earning value and pissing off his agent and the player. So they're in a tough situation now. To me, you almost just have to wear it and live with the consequences.
Jay Glazer, a couple minutes ago, teams around the NFL are definitely shocked, to say the least, at the Ravens backing out, and a few teams who were previously interested already committed their money elsewhere, so they can't jump in now. Bad all around. We've discussed that essentially, but Jay weighing in on what we've already kind of gathered here. Is it Adesai? Adesai writes, so now we have an extra $30 million. Can we get Lindy back? Well, Jeff, it doesn't go official till tomorrow, does it?
Yeah, that ship has sailed, I would think. Could you imagine if they didn't turn around and say, hey, Tyler, we'll match the Raiders offer now?
It was interesting. Mike Florio put this out, and it's the statement that's on the screen that's directly from the Raiders is what he's referring to, because he said the Raiders said the Ravens backed out of the trade. This feels bigger than a physical, because they're not saying he failed his physical. They're saying they backed out. So it's the way the Raiders frame the statement and how they're trying. It's just interesting to kind of see that.
Yeah, but the Raiders are not going to put out there. The trade because he failed his physical. I mean, it was on the Ravens' end. That's indisputable. The Raiders had moved on. It was the Ravens that would not pass him his physical. So
I'm just surprised, because Tom Pelissero put it out there that GMs are calling it bullshit, and I'm a little surprised, because like this does happen. And if the Ravens did find something on there that they didn't like, is it not reasonable to not want to trade 2 first-round picks for someone you think may have a long-term knee issue? Like, I'm just a little surprised, I guess, by the reaction.
And I also, and somebody said this, and I'm hearing and seeing a lot. The last thing I want to do is come across as a Ravens apologist here, when I'm still trying to learn the situation. But they were thrilled to get this guy. They couldn't talk, they couldn't say anything publicly, but you couldn't hear enough excitement about it. And since they got him, their roster has been absolutely gutted in free agency. Absolutely gutted. So they would have sat idly by for 3 or 4 days and then just decided today, hey, we're going to back out of it while the damage is already done. It seems to be pretty dubious that would be a wise roster building team strategy to pull a stunt like that. But hey, the optics aren't good. And as Glazer said, it's a bad situation for everybody. The player, the teams throughout across the board.
Jay-Z, we're going to take this thing until we can't anymore.
Okay.
Awesome stuff from you. I know you got a ton on your plate. Thank you for carving out some time for us, and let us know if you come up with anything else.
I'm guessing we'll have a show tomorrow. That's what it just seems like there's going to be a lot more to come from this. And
just do a 24-hour marathon.
I know.
The 3 of us will reconvene, obviously, in the morning, if not tonight, and figure out the best plan moving forward. And best of luck with your writing commitments.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jay-Z. Seriously, thanks for the time, man. Appreciate you hopping on.
Guys.
Appreciate you. Needless to say, go check out Jeff's work at The Athletic. There's news stories, there's Twitter, there's tweet context, there's just great insight that he's dropping in. So we appreciate him tonight, and happy to kind of 2-man weave this the rest of the way. Kyle Pierce writes, Crosby didn't really be a Raven, want to be a Raven. His statement screamed he really didn't want to leave the Raiders, just my opinion. But that has nothing to do with, I agree with you. He was highly emotional in that 12+ minute Instagram post, Cole, but that's not the reason why he failed the physical. That's based on the Ravens metrics and the way they scale things medically. And hey, the way teams do things medically are different. It's not the same across the league, all 32 teams. So who's to say that he wouldn't have gone to Dallas and passed? We just don't know.
100%. I don't see the connection there at all.
Yeah. Dreams for you.
Go draft Vega at 14, Logan Jones, and Jordan Farmer. Yeah, it's going to be fun to go back to looking at what you can do with pick 14.
Road Graders is so fucking back.
Yeah, we can do some draft content again. Had to pivot hard.
Yeah, right. Wanted John says everyone would be upset with EDC if Crosby got injured during the season. Trust the process. We have a new coaching staff and Lamar. T Smooth.
So you all find it hard to believe that ADC felt played by the Raiders. They got Tyler Byway overpaying him and our 2 first-round picks. Yeah, I mean, Tyler's completely irrelevant to the trade. I mean, they paid him $27 million. The Ravens were never going to pay that. So I don't know. I don't really think that has anything to do with it. I think they decided to trade 2 first-round picks and they weren't happy with the medicals. I really think it's that simple. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see how much they're going to be accused of buyer's remorse for the next days, weeks, months.
Anthony writes, seems like the Raiders were blaming the Ravens, meaning maybe they knew something. Both teams feel like they know a whole lot right now. DJ Burke says, watch Crosby still has 12 or more sacks this season. And Jerry DeMonico says, maybe we can sign Bobby Boucher. Oh, Jerry, wish we got this up there when your buddy Jay-Z was here. He's going to be appreciative of your super chats. And by the way, we'll make sure that your super chats, since you're a reader of his, go to just Cole and I tonight.
That's
How about that? Right? Let's
catch it on one of the boys. Extra cherry.
The Jay-Z loyal, right? This is a loyalty OG right here, JD, and we're gonna take JD's earnings for us and only us.
Yeah, I finally came across Jerry on Twitter the other day, so I got to engage with him on there. So appreciate you, Jerry. Finally got to find you on there.
Cool. Take one from Happy Ravens 410.
Sign Hendrickson and send a second plus some for AJ Brown. Yep, there's going to be some good pivots out there. Keep them coming.
OP writes, could this be a FU to the Raiders for overpaying? These theories, man. Could this be an FU to the Raiders for overpaying for Linderbaum, resetting the center market?
Does this hurt the Raiders? I think it hurts the Ravens. That might be the worst fuck you ever. I think they just it's like you go to punch someone else, you punch yourself in the face.
Yeah. Yep. M Hawk wants to know what are the chances the Raiders can't afford Linderbaum now. They're going to make sure that they can and that they will. And then to your point earlier on, they have so much money to play with. I saw a number was north of like 280 or somewhere around there as of yesterday after day one. And somehow, some way they'll make it work. That's how much they want Linderbaum. And knowing that they have a rookie quarterback in Mendoza. Let's see. I just want to make sure what's seeing over here on my screen. Matt Zenit says, and this is the significant news of the day, that the Ravens are re-signing wide receiver Dayton Wade. Cole?
Stop. They didn't just announce that.
Matt Zenitz tweeted that out at 9:24, 14 minutes ago. So the darling, the training camp darling himself, Dayton Wade, is re-signing in Baltimore. That's according to Matt Zenitz. Yeah, they're gonna find a way to make sure the Linderbaum stays intact, M-Hawk, if I'm a betting man. Kobe Pruitt for you.
To replace Max's impact, you probably need Trey Hendrickson and Chubb because Hendrickson is a 2-down edge and doesn't play the run like Crosby. It's definitely the upside of Maxx Crosby is how effective he is against the run. That being said, I mean, they need a situational pass rusher. They have a guy like Tavius Robinson that can be, that defensively responsible run defender on the rush side. And then it depends on what they want to do with Mike Green on the opposite side because they'll need to get him a running mate just for snap management. And I'm not convinced Adisa Isaac's a real person. So they would still need to find a second move. But I kind of thought they need to make a second move with how things stood anyway, just for a depth perspective. But I think that complement to Trey Hendrickson would be Tavius Robinson.
Cole, just reset the YouTube studio to see where we are at subscription count wise, given that it's a big night. And we are 40 subscribers out from 7,000. So goes
like
out
over 350 tonight now.
Big jump, jump, at least that number. And so it goes without saying, guys, we have over 3,200 concurrents here tonight. If you find yourself watching and you are not subscribed and you are enjoying the content, especially when Jeff's with us, we lean on him for all of his inside insight, if you will, as a media member. Please go ahead and subscribe and allow us to hit yet another milestone here in our first, say, 6 months or so since we launched this thing over the summer. Hockey Fever 22 says sign Hendrickson, draft Vanga at 14. Rather have Hendrickson and Vanga than just Crosby. King Poppy, and thank you, Hockey Fever, for your super chat. King Poppy says, so Lamar lost half the roster and no Max. Wow. Hey, Cole, you get the sense that Poppy's a Lamar enthusiast?
I think he's a Lamar guy. I mean, I don't blame him.
Jalen Carter, anyone, says happy Ravens 410. And Adam's with us tonight.
Nobody's happier than Burrow and Chase. Well, until they go out and get Trey Hendrickson, and then they get another nightmare to fill out that 3-headed monster in the AFC North.
Boy, this is going to be fascinating when Max, who I'm pretty sure was sitting down tonight, according to his Instagram, to record an episode of The Rush. It is going to be fascinating when he gives his perspective on what went down today at one winning drive. This entire thing is so far from over. Just buckle up. Jeremy Early says, go get A.J. Brown. Screw it. CFB Untold says, Schefter just said...
Oh, wait, hold on. I just updated it. Can you see my screen? 2 minutes ago, Maxx Crosby just posted he's on a plane.
Oh, boy.
So he's out of town.
He's getting the hell out of Dodge. He recorded his episode and bounced. Can you blame him? We'll go ahead and put that up on the screen in just a second here. I'll take a screenshot just to confirm that. And CFB Untold says, Schefter just said it is unclear whether the deal can be revived in some form. Okay. And sure enough, here it is. It's a boomerang of what looks to be a private jet, private plane, Maxx Crosby with his feet up, heading back west, presumably. That from Max's official Instagram page, as you just noted, Cole. And why don't I try to find the latest from Schefter, because I believe he just posted a selfie video to Instagram. So
Schefter posted a selfie?
A selfie video monologue, essentially, of what CFB Untold is noting.
Like he's taking this new video format a little too seriously if he's posting selfies.
How about it? Here he is. There's the screenshot 2 minutes ago from Maxx Crosby's Instagram account. God, it feels like hours ago, if not days ago, that the Pat Ricard news came down. But just so that we're being thorough, I guess, tonight, he's one of 4 former Ravens to be following John Harbaugh to New York, and 6-time Pro Bowl fullback, a former undrafted rookie out of Maine, a staple of Baltimore, is heading to New York, along with Isaiah Likely, Ardarius Washington, and Jordan Stout. I'm sure there'll be more. Why don't you take the next couple here? Dark Thunder 35, and I'm going to try and go and grab Schefter's video. Here's Dark Thunder.
I couldn't find the video. When did we become a cursed franchise from Dark Thunder? Feels that way lately. It's been a bit of a tough go. Let me pop up, because I should have the comments here.
Yeah,
find where we are so that I can take control. I'm old enough to remember Ryan Grant. This is worse. I'm old enough to remember Terrell Owens, and this is worse. So I'm with you there. This super chat is for Nate at Hamilton _DPOY. Oh man, Austin, we'll make sure he gets that $1.99 from you, kid, because no one's going through it worse than Nate is right now. Bobby, can you go back to Vermont? The vibes were much higher. Thanks for the show, boys. We should kick your ass back to Vermont, because when you were in Vermont, we were making things happen. So I don't know what you coming back did, but it ain't going so well. Maybe they shouldn't fucking wait until free agency opens to conduct the physical. This shit is depressing. The timing's definitely interesting. I saw a theory someone just posted about the fact that they did it the night before league year opens. Given he's been in town for a couple days, it is a little weird. Like, it's just the whole situation is weird. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess I've never really paid that close attention. The Ravens aren't usually doing trades like this, so I don't know what's normal.
Yeah. So. Hey, let me throw this in here because I have the video. So this is from Schefter. We appreciate the super chats tonight. We're going to get right back to him. And just so Whiplash knows, I just so happen, ironically, to be back in Vermont next weekend for a pre-planned college roommates bachelor party that I'm hosting as the best man. So if that is going to give newfound fortune.
AJ
then
Brown
I'm
will
willing
be a
to go
Raven
back.
next weekend.
I'm going back. Hey, as Chef Curry once said, I'm back.
There we go.
All right, here's Schefter's latest from what looks to be an Uber, or apparently he's got that professional driver that got a ton of attention that drives him to and from, like McAfee uncovered, which is kind of hilarious. Here's ESPN's insider.
Landed fresh off a flight from Indianapolis, where we were doing the Pat McAfee show, to the bombshell announcement that the Maxx Crosby trade has been called off by the Baltimore Ravens. Now, it is not binding until Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, and it's not Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And Maxx Crosby was in Baltimore to take his physical, coming off a significant knee injury. So clearly it looks like it's tied to that, and now there's going to be massive fallout for days and weeks to come. We'll see how it all shakes out.
Okay.
He didn't really give us much there.
Yeah, not a ton there, but that's just what most recently I found on him. So if our super chatter has more or has something else that he was referring to, which was this, about it being unclear whether the deal can be revived in some form, let us know, but it doesn't seem to be a whole lot there. That brings us to Olu for you.
Or what if we got out of a deal where he plays 2 games and is out for the season? Damn, Nate. No, Nate, my guy. Wait until Wednesday, my boy. It never fails, y'all. Be patient, please. Yeah, I mean, just kind of speaking to, again, if they, I'll keep saying it, if they find something that that they didn't like that was going to cause long-term issues, then, fans would have been pissed that they traded for a guy that ended up getting hurt. So, I mean, this is why you do your due diligence. It's just the timing, I think, is what's killing everybody. The fact that this wasn't it would have been nice if they could have done this Saturday, Sunday, with the trade being announced. I believe it was Friday. If they could have got this done Saturday, Sunday before free agency tampering open, because it might have changed things and it might have impacted their entire strategy. But
goodness, thank you, Olu. Appreciate you. In other news, very randomly, but also notably in the sports world tonight, Bam Adebayo has 70 points with 7 minutes left in that Heat game.
Oh, Jesus.
70.
Bam does.
Bam, 70. So, and by the way, Sam Howell is going to back up Dak Prescott in Dallas. So there is other NFL news that's happening tonight, including the Ravens. We talked about Pat Ricard. We haven't mentioned Jake Hummel. I know that seems like not exactly priority number one.
Burying the lead, not talking about Jake Hummel.
Yeah, really, aren't we? He'll be going to Houston. I'm sure that's on the Ravens priority list. Maybe slightly south. Okay, thank you, Olu. Daniel Rodriguez, aka D-Rod, says, LOL, man. I don't know, rather to be mad or EDC just saved us. Just like the Ravens give me a heart attack in the offseason. It's cardiac Ravens. You'd think it's a fourth quarter collapse, but this is a little bit different. And what I wanted to say a second ago when I was tripping was because we easily, far and away, reached that 7,000 number almost immediately when we sent that call to action out a couple minutes ago. So another milestone here tonight with over 3,100 concurrents and counting on what is a very unique night in Ravens coverage. The collective has surpassed 7,000 subscriptions. So, hey, I guess 7,100's in the cards. If you find yourself watching and you're not subscribed, we would love for you to do so. Cole, that brings us to Zayad.
EDC statement, ASAP, rework the deal, please. I'm going to be really interested to see how they address it. Jeff kind of alluded to the fact that they'll probably just say nothing and continue their business. It's got to be a tough situation to be in where you can't there's nothing they can really say that's going to make them look any better than, you know what I mean? Like there's not really a justification that's going to please anybody. It's all going to come back to what your opinion is of what they found on their medicals, no matter how it's framed.
Richard says, you and me both, Cole. I hope EDC remembers. What are those emojis there besides the fire?
Chairs?
Like 2 chairs. Were you like Bobby Knighting it tonight? What are you doing with those chairs?
No, I didn't throw any chairs. That one's from 8:49, so that was almost an hour ago, though. Like we're so behind.
It's insane. You guys are making it amazingly hard in the best of ways to ensure that we cannot get caught up in the super chat category. So it goes out saying thank you so much for
just a heads up, CFB Untold. I don't want to skip ahead of Steve. Hold it where you have it. I just want to show it because we asked him to clarify. So CFB Untold followed up. FYI, that Schefter quote comes from his article. Thank you, CFB Untold. We asked you about that, so I just wanted to make sure we grabbed that right away.
Okay, thank you. And that brings us to, we had Richard up there. Steve says, do you guys think the Raiders knew something prior? We've discussed that and speculated on that a lot. Thank you, Steve. Wildlife says, anybody else feel like the Raiders just pimped us? And that brings us to Christian.
Raiders might not be able to sign all their FAs now. I don't think that's going to be impacted. I believe they had something like 120 million running, and that's this year's cap. So I mean, like Tyler Linderbaum, for example, is 27 APY, but year one is going to be lower than that average. So I mean, that usually happens with multi-year deals where the first year is the cheapest. So they'll probably be fine. I don't think they're going to have to lose any free agents because of this. They'll probably find a way to figure it out.
Donovan Carter says, I'm not a big fan of EDC by any means, but y'all are being way too impatient. Let things play out, then judge. Like, seriously. And then Mr. LJJR is alluding to what I think you mentioned maybe 20 minutes ago now.
Yeah, Mike Florio, I swear, alluded to this when Crosby to Ravens announcement was made. He kept emphasizing the deal isn't done officially until Wednesday. And that's kind of what Dr. Chow just said when he joined us. If you guys missed that, we had Dr. David Chow on to kind of speak. And he's been talking about this for weeks around the timeline of an announcement because he didn't believe Maxx Crosby would be able to pass a physical because he had meniscus surgery. So obviously when they go look at that, they, by the way, Bam is up to 74 points. They keep fouling him. So he's on 80 watch. Like we're on, by the way, Kobe Bryant put that 81 up on the Raptors. So I remember watching that vividly. So I know what it feels like to get 80 dropped on you for all you Wizards fans out there. Just to kind of go back to what Dr. Chow said, though, he clearly people in the medical community had this on watch, and I think that's good context to have. It doesn't necessarily exonerate anybody, but I think it's good context.
Damn. I love that we're going back and forth between two just unique stories in sports tonight. One is not like the other. I know that. CD Stack says, can Fa'alele pass rush? Thoughts, Cole? Hashtag LOL kidding.
It might fall into the quarterback, so it might work for them. Yeah.
There is one report out there from a New York personality. I believe his name is Ryan Dunleavy, reporter, that is hearing that John Harbaugh is interested in bringing Fa'alele to the Giants. Jack Hack says, I'd go and get Jalen Carter for a first and a second, in my opinion. And that brings us to Tank for you.
How do we draft injured players but not get Max? That's a really good point. We've been dealing with the injury risk here for a hot minute. So really, really good point there.
Ryan Seth says, every team and every agent knows that we are desperate. Coopman says, this is embarrassing. EDC's got to go. And Ryan Bratton says, bought a spiked stick. Just rammed it, you know where. This is where this team has drawn me to.
Well, Ryan, I hope you get a nice soft cushion.
Ryan, oh man. That is rather unfortunate. Okay, hang in there, Ryan. We appreciate you for being with us. Gully Squad says Max has 8 surgeries in 7 years. Last 3 were knee related. We discussed that with Jeff earlier on. And the most recent was January. I want to say January 7th is what the date was there. So we are 2 months, just over 2 months removed from that. That brings us to JS19 Ravens. He's been with us all night. For you.
I don't trust EDC, but the defense still needed pieces, even with Max. If they can get Trey and others to fill out the defense, it could work. Bobby, get Steve from La Meridian to me in Chicago to make me the strongest cocktail. Steve has a bunch of fans now. He might be the most popular bartender in Indy now.
Steve's the man, and Jeff's face will forever be priceless. When hair was growing seemingly on his chest at the arrival of that old fashioned.
76 for Bam, by the way. Just got 2 more.
That is insane.
256 to go.
Say it again. How much?
256. So, I mean, still lots of time. They just keep fouling him. He just hit 2 more free throws.
Dude, Kobe's in sight. That's insane. Jane Slater confirming as the Cowboys personality that she is, that a team source tells her, quote, "We moved on with Rashawn Gary," meaning they are not in on Maxx Crosby, at least as of right now. Janarkis says, "Thinking like a detective, LOL. Any chance the Ravens veto this deal because Lamar's extension wasn't successful in order to be under the cap by tomorrow at 4 p.m.?
I think the Ravens knew damn well what was going on with Lamar's contract prior to. I think they knew what the outcome was going to be. By the way, Maxx Crosby went on and deleted everything Ravens related on his Instagram page, the profile picture, the video. Yeah.
It's all gone.
It's all gone.
It is all gone, and I've got it right here. Not that anybody wants to see that or be reminded, but just so that we're being thorough, here it is. Here is Maxx Crosby's Instagram account. Like you said, lighten up. No Raven 98. Nothing in his bio. And there goes that 12-plus minutes emotional video from over the weekend that made its rounds all throughout the...
So what happens if they work something out? Is he going to have to repost that? Like I have to repost my Vega Owane video?
Right? 77 for Bam and counting. Gene says, so we got the Raiders' first pick as compensation. No?
Wish.
Yeah. They now have 2 back in their pockets for the moment. Let's see what they do. Ginobili says Harbs at minimum can trade us Tibbs, meaning Kayvon Thibodeau. Wes Hall for you.
Compounded by the fact we've done jack shit thus far. A lot of quality players no longer available. Absolutely. That's why I'm alluding to, it would have been nice to get this figured out on the weekend before Monday started.
No shit. Taz19 says offer Lindy $28 million and make Vegas trade for him. I'm coping. In all seriousness, trade for Jalen Carter and sign Hendrickson. That from Taz19, which is starting to garner legs in the live chat. Wildlife says crazy thought. EDC is sticking it to the Raiders for overpaying for Lindy. We've got a couple of those. Appreciate you, Wildlife.
It hurts the Ravens. I don't get the theory.
No, I don't either. I really don't either. Godlike Creations gives us a chance just for the moment, Cole, to humor ourselves. These are the 4 Ravens that are heading to New York to become Giants, and that will not go official, as all of these deals won't, until tomorrow. Is it 4 p.m. or noon tomorrow? I believe it's 4 p.m. Eastern that the new
4
league.
4 p.m. Yeah, 4 p.m.
Okay. So these 4 players, with Ricard being the latest today, the other 3 took place on day 1. Ardarius, Likely, and Stout. And Ricard as well joined this foursome, if you will, that are going to the New York Giants. And Pat Ricard, of course, a wonderful undrafted rookie career, continues, as does Ardarius Washington's on a 1-year deal. End of the bar, Raven, for you.
What's the story on Lamar's deal? Can't imagine he's signing an extension at this point. Says he wants to win, but man, his contract makes that hard. Yeah, we don't really have an official answer. It just sounds like they'll be looking to pivot to the option of doing a restructure, which I would imagine will be probably announced tomorrow. That's kind of my expectation.
Bearded Bites and Breakdown says sign Trey and trade for AJ Brown, and 77 is going to come back. Thanks, Cole.
That's not nice. I take that personally.
Next Gen Retro Gaming says who's got it better than us, as he copes. And Tony Williams is with us.
Did Ravens just hire a new medical staff doctor? Maybe he actually has some structural damage that was not worth the trade compensation. That's actually a really good question. I don't think they overhauled that department. They obviously hired the guy from the All Blacks, but he wouldn't be in his. This is like a doctor, not a. He's like a sports performance manager, but I don't believe they hired all new medical staff. But I mean, to your point, really, really good perspective that, again, they could have found something.
Yeah, Dr. Nick Gill is the most recent hire that was kind of out of the box, coming from New Zealand and the All Blacks rugby team. So to your point, though, there's a difference there, but between some of the specialized training and conditioning and performance then, and his actual title, I actually just looked it up, so I have it in front of me, is Vice President of Health and Performance. He's going to lead integrated efforts across the strength and conditioning, medical, nutrition, and sports science teams to optimize player health and performance. But because it's so new, hard to truly speak on what his role is. I mean, has he even moved to Maryland yet? You know, we don't even know that. Is he in the building yet?
And this, I don't think this would be his area anyway. Like, I'm imagining this is going to someone that's like an actual like physician.
Yeah. Greg Rosenthal. Okay, a couple different things happening here. Greg Rosenthal quote tweets Tom Pelissero, just for the counter perspective here. Remember, Pelissero got a text from a GM. Quote, "This is very much bullshit on Baltimore's part." Rosenthal writes, also very much bullshit, having strong opinions with a fraction of the information that Baltimore has. So we can be fair about this and look at it from both angles, and that will continue to happen. And here comes a tweet from Maxx Crosby's agent. Here we go. CJ LeBoy. He writes, Max continues to be on track in his recovery, and if anything is ahead of schedule, according to his surgeon, the renowned Dr. Neil Elitrash. Max remains on track to return during the offseason program and will undoubtedly return as the dominant game wrecker he has been these past 7 seasons. That from Maxx Crosby's agent as this continues to thicken. And we'll get a BAM count in just a second, but that's the latest on what we're talking about right now. King Poppy says, hey, Dr. Chow, respect, but don't care. We are pissed.
Damn.
Dr. Chow. Laura Roten's here with us.
I'm wondering if it's due to his marijuana. I can't imagine that would matter. Isn't it legal now down there? It's legal up in Canada. I don't know what the status is in the States. I can't imagine that would have an impact.
State by state. Somebody help me out with Maryland. I'm not a weed smoker. My father refers to himself as having virgin lips. I can't say that I do. Virgin lips. Virgin lungs. You ever heard that phrase before?
Virgin lips. You just outed yourself there.
Yeah, I'm gonna clip my ass on that one. Timestamp 152:30. M Champagne. What's up? Is this your boy Mike or Michael?
Mike.
Yeah, go ahead.
The GM who texted Tom was probably the Raiders. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm reading through some of the threads, and like people seem to be emphatically against the Ravens on this one. Like this, it looks like the court of public opinion is going to be on the side of the Raiders, which is I find interesting because again, I'm just like, and maybe it's the fact that I'm a Ravens fan, but I don't see how this benefits the Ravens. Like it hurts the Ravens. I just don't get why they would do it without cause. It's just bizarre to me.
Totally. Thanks, Mike. White Broccoli 23 says, please, can we just give them one first round pick?
Ideally next year's.
And look who we have here tonight for you.
Fuck me and call me a donkey. This is insane. Only the Ravens. Love you, Cole, but new name will be Hated DaCosta Baldazed. I think you keep your name, though. I like that name.
How could you not? T Smooth says, EDC dropped the ball on Lindy. He felt he was screwed by the Raiders. It's a brotherhood. How often does a team not re-sign its own first-round homegrown pick? Losing Lindy changed our entire offseason. But what we won't do, T Smooth, is have rose-colored glasses on here, because in no way does any competent general manager go and exceed or match what the Raiders did in shattering the market at the center position. You just don't do it by principle. And I'm sorry, I it's hard to get on board with your perspective here. Rated Doctor, is that who we're doing? No, Rated RJ NB for you.
Conspiracy theory hat on. They fired his best friend, so EDC is screwing up the offseason. Well, that'd be one way to get himself fired. By the way, we're at 81 for Bam with 135 left.
Is he still going?
We have tied Kobe's 81. He's shot 2 threes in the last few minutes, but almost every point that I've been trying, and you guys can comment if you're watching. I'm box score watching, but I'm pretty sure they've all been free throws for like the last 8 points. but he has shot 2 threes.
Dude, this is a pretty historic night.
Will this be the second most? Kobe's second to Wilt's 100, right? So this would be 1 point, and he's the second highest scoring NBA player ever.
And what year was Kobe's, did you say? Do you remember?
Oh God, 2007?
Holy shit.
Here, quick Google.
What a wild night, man.
January 22nd, 2006. I was close.
2006, 20 years in the making.
I was in grade 9. Yeah, that makes sense.
Unbelievable. And sorry, who did he hang it on again?
The Toronto Raptors, my team.
You know what's funny? I actually genuinely asked because we're I actually genuinely asked. Rated, thank you. Shimmy Boy. And by the way, if you're just tuning in with us, wow. 7 of 13 from 3 is pretty freaking incredible. 28 of 46 of the field goals, 7 of 13 from 3, 18 of 20 from the free throw line as he ties them. That's incredible. So what you're seeing on the screen is Maxx Crosby's agent. We read that tweet for you earlier on, and here he is from January, the procedure that he had for the meniscus repair. So just so that we're kind of keeping everybody in the loop as we continue here. Shimmy Boy says, so if the trade happens in July or August, Crosby would have passed the physical. I always felt Ravens' physical tests are always tougher compared to other teams. Now, what you're probably referring to here, Shimmy, is the conditioning test, which has been widely regarded as absurd, meaning absurd levels of challenge. But from a physical standpoint, everybody has their own systems in place medically for physicals. Colin Donahue, for you.
Are we not worried about Trey's injury this last year and age? What's a contract for him? Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to be the same situation. He's been hurt a few times in the last few years, much like Max. So that's been the big downside. But both players, when they're able to get healthy, they will play through stuff as much as they can. So, I mean, there's definitely still some interest there. I believe PFF, what did they project him at? They had his projection pretty high. I believe it was around 30 million. I don't know if that was on a 1-year deal. 1 year, oh no, completely off. They had it 1 year, $21 million deal. So, I mean, that's just a PFF projection. We'll see where he comes in. But, you know, they would have to likely do a multi-year deal, but I think you'd be dealing with 2025 APY probably.
Okay. Mindag 13 says EDC is addicted to draft picks. He knew what was up. He thinks life is Madden. He has to draft. Life is Madden. Be More Savage says Ravens pullout game is strong. Rant and Raven Pod says Jeff needs a hug. I get the feeling that's when he admitted to us that he feels guilt in coming in and out tonight. I think we'll be okay and we'll forgive him based on what's on his plate tonight. And Mike Lowry's with us.
Hendrickson fails the physical. I'm watching rugby. Fair.
Unreal. All right. Nick Gill rugby? What are you watching? B1 and Only says Jair Alexander passed his physical and was re-injured and he removed himself when it was said and done. The Ravens went all in. You know, look, the Jair thing was kind of a unique situation there. He started to truly mull retirement. And I guess that happened after they did their business dealing there with Philly. But
83 for Bam off 2 free throws, by the way.
Wow.
There you go. He's topped Kobe's 81.
Wow.
I'm probably playing him in fantasy tonight.
Oh.
That would be just my luck.
And how about for it to be Bam? It's not Edwards. It's not Jokic. It's not Curry.
Yeah.
It's Bam Adebayo. I mean, good for him, man. That's incredible. Are they in Miami tonight?
No, they're in. Hold on. I was just on the bot. Oh yeah, they're in Miami. Sorry. Yes, they are.
Unreal to do it on a home turf, on a home hardwood. BME 612 says if Jeff's kids have off tomorrow, he may lose their shit.
Which is funny because Ottawa is expecting an insane ice storm tomorrow, so my kids will be home.
Jesus.
Like we're talking 30 millimeters of freezing rain. We'll have mass power outages. All that stuff. It's gonna be a rough one up here.
We'll get to our game planning then tomorrow.
I got a generator. It's fine.
All right. Jane Slater, Cowboys reporter, she's been talking to other GMs around the league on the Maxx Crosby situation and his post-meniscus recovery. One GM told her this: he was never going to pass a physical based on where he is in recovery. Something else had to lead to the decision. Do they think that he is too far behind in rehab? Don't like the images of recovery, or something else potentially, which lines up with what Mike Florio is speculating on as well. And this just further thickens this plot. Paul O'Brien has become a collective channel member. So welcome to official channel membership, Paul. Great to have you with us. Coopman says organization can't do nothing right. And KP is back with us.
Yeah, we're finally catching up, but just saying it's bullshit, not a good look for EDC. Hopefully it doesn't impact future deals. It's going to be interesting where everybody kind of aligns on this, because I believe we got that reply from Rosenthal that just said calling it bullshit is bullshit because not everybody knows the full story. So again, this is going to be a developing thing as the details come out. And as we've alluded to, we'll be back here on the Ravens Collective likely tomorrow with some more details to try and give you guys the proper information for you guys to make a determination on how you feel about it.
It will probably be a full, just across the board day of coverage. I thought Tuesdays are typically the 3-stream day across channels. Tomorrow it'll be back to back. Chosen One says only one fix for this, and that's to add an additional first to the package and give it to the Browns for Garrett. We'd be happy with that. Jay Griffin, for you.
Max, I don't know, said what? Who's that? Still crutching around in a speech.
Max
said he was still. Oh my God, we're 2 hours in. Max said he was still crutching around in a speech. Yeah, and again, that's like the comment that he wouldn't pass a physical. I don't like. He's not passing a physical in the sense that he has to complete some sort of like athletic movement. The physical is meant to get him in person where they run their own tests. And it's not just the medical imaging that they're sent. So like it's, you kind of alluded to the conditioning tester. It's nothing like that. So he was never going to pass a physical, but they likely wanted to check in. And that's why his agent is rebuttaling with that, because he wants to protect his client. And fair enough. Like that's his prerogative. But if the Ravens went through that process and they found information that they were not happy with, then it makes sense. And they're trying to protect their own interests.
Yeah, and here's another example, a Dr. Chow, if you will, on the internet here, Jeff Mueller. He writes, to be fair, Maxx Crosby's only 2 months out from meniscus repair and can probably barely squat, let alone pass a full physical. Baltimore should have known this given the time frame, but I'm wondering if they saw more concerning details that scared them off of the deal. So
obviously he wasn't. This is what I'm so like, are these guys dumb? Like, obviously he wasn't going to be asked to load weight on a knee. Anyway, whatever.
Just everybody kind of speculating on similar nuances that we know very little about as of right now. Work Boots 12 says it's definitely a scummy move, but sign Hendrickson and trade a third or a fourth for Gennard. He said it's scummy, but it's us. That's what Work Boots wants.
Go full heel.
Call me City Boy for you.
JK Jeff, thank you fellas for all the good work. Appreciate you, man.
B-Dub says, and thank you, Call Me City. Appreciate you. B-Dub says, Trey Hendrickson, many are wondering. Joe Jenkins says, we can make an entire roster with, quote, almost Ravens. What, Zedarius, Brockers, Wright, Crosby.
Owens.
I'm sure there's others. Raven Rick for you.
Tomorrow they'll kick $40 million down the road because they can't get a deal done with Lamar. That does sound like it's probably going to happen, where they're going to move that money down the road. I guess it'll depend on what they do.
Thanks, Rick. Raven Rantin Pod says Jair Alexander, PTSD.
Fair.
AMT 008 says JH. John Harbaugh gets half the Ravens roster, and EDC fumbles the biggest trade in Ravens history. Collusion. A new theory has just emerged, and Nick Clemens is here with us tonight.
The Ravens and their mysterious way of handling medical shit gets crazier with each season. I hate it. Got to put vodka in the Shirley Temples tonight. Yeah, again, it's going to be interesting what information comes out about what was found. I'm really looking forward to that piece. That to me is the key of whether or not this makes sense or it doesn't make sense.
Thanks, Nick. Dark Thunder 35 says Ravens in the Lamar era are the physical manifestation of blue balls. And Paul says, how is it possible? This is buyer's remorse. It would be like going all in and then folding. Makes absolutely no sense. Anthony says, what teams? And thanks to Paul, thanks to Dark Thunder, thanks to all of you. We have over 150 super chats tonight. And let me just quickly take a breath to, one, appreciate what Bam just did tonight, which is insane, and also refresh our back end of YouTube. And we are now at 7,056 subscriptions. So needless to say, we are in the cards potentially for 7,100 tonight. And we hit that 7,000 milestone, which means a lot here in our first 6 months of growth. So if you're one of the 2,787 concurrents right now tonight and you're not subscribed, we would love for you to change that. Anthony says, what teams even want to trade with us anymore? We've talked about this and speculated on it at length tonight. Thank you, Anthony, for being here with us. And Nick James, Cole.
Good time to announce the Lamar extension. Yeah, no, instead we got a Dayton Wade extension. So they kind of went the opposite way on that.
Dayton Wade, today's Ravens activities leading up to the Crosby news was pretty quiet.
You know, didn't do anything. They just lost everyone.
Yeah, like you, me, and Jeff were texting, like, what is going on here day two? Yeah. And it ends up being obviously the to the moon around 8:00 when this Crosby news came down. But other than that, it was just losing Hummel and Ricard. And of course, Elton Jenkins, who I know you spent time covering and looking into, who ended up going to Cleveland after being released. He failed. Ironically, he failed a physical. He was a cap casualty in Green Bay. He had a serious injury, which included ligament damage last year, played in just 9 games. And Todd Monken scooped him up. They gave him a 2-year deal. Nice payday for him. And he's going to be one of the projected starters in literally like a full rebuild of their entire line in Cleveland. Thanks to Nick. Timothy Hyde says, will Tom Brady get the Mark Davis haircut? That would be something. They are now part of Tom, of course, is part of the minority ownership group in Vegas. Wes Hall's here with us for you.
Broussard pulled out the box too early. Yeah, good point. He's gonna have to adjust that one.
Kobe Pruitt, I just saw your DM. Kobe Pruitt says maybe Lamar can have an excuse now. We'll get back to Cool Breeze in just a second. And KP, thanks to you, I suppose this is more than worthy of scrolling down to.
Wow.
Because Reverse Lines just dropped a 200 burger tonight. That's a red banner and a big burger from Reverse Lines for you, brother.
We appreciate that. Staying late at the office to get work done. Appreciate y'all keeping me company. Glad that we could entertain you. Apologies that you have to be at the office late, but if you are, I'm glad you could join us and at least be entertained with some Ravens news, even if it is unfortunate news. So thank you so much for donating that. We really appreciate it.
Freaking incredible. And we'll leave it up on the screen to reset things here as we approach hour number 3. Look,
I gotta go to bed, man. I got school tomorrow.
Crazy. I was gonna say you can veer off whenever. I'll keep it going if need be.
No, I'm good.
83 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists is the final line for Bam Adebayo. Wilt Chamberlain's 100 points will probably stand for a lifetime, but Bam got 17 points away from that. And of course, Kobe at 81 is now the third single most points in a game, going all the way back to what you mentioned 20 years ago against your home country team. But anyway, around 8:00, you, me, and Jeff were ready to talk about free agency and somewhat of an underwhelming day 2. Ricard had just signed with the Giants, which will go final tomorrow. And then this dropped from the Raiders, who released a statement saying the Baltimore Ravens have backed out of our trade agreement for Maxx Crosby. We will have no further comment at this time. And of course, it's been nuclear ever since. Maxx Crosby's agent has weighed in. We had that up on the screen earlier. CJ LeBoy writes about his client that he continues to be on track in his recovery, and if anything, is ahead of schedule, according to his surgeon, Dr. Neil Elatrosh. He is a renowned highly regarded surgeon. Maxx remains on track to return during the offseason program and will undoubtedly return as the dominant game wrecker he has been these past 7 seasons. As you said a minute ago, this is what representation does for a client, and it's CJ putting some damage control onto a situation that is completely out of his control at the moment. Maxx has deleted his social media Ravens-related posts from over the weekend. He has re-upped and updated his profile photo, and things are really starting to take off over the last 2+ hours since this first came down the timeline. That brings us, Cole, to Cool Breeze.
Falele back to the Ravens tomorrow morning to ease the Crosby pain. I think I would jump out a window if that were to happen. So let's hope not, because I injure easily.
DJ Burke says, possible failed drug test, or is it definitely the knee? This is speculation. We've had a couple of these over the course of the last couple hours. We just don't know. Tony Love writes, can we trade EDC for Roseman, meaning Howie? Philadelphia's moves today was bringing in Reek Woolen in free agency. It's up to $15 million over 1 year. He won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks at the cornerback position, and they also, they've been busy as they always are. Dragon Ball Vault for you.
Only way this deal is revived is a just compensation. Ravens obviously not comfortable given the risk for 2 first rounds. They may be offering just 1 first round, just like in real estate, counter offer can be made. That's kind of where my mind went, and I was using the real estate offer. You see that sometimes if you inspect a house and there's an issue, they'll say, okay, we'll give you 20 grand less because we're now going to have to deal with that. So, I mean, it's possible. Jeff kind of quickly threw some water on that, so we'll take that into consideration. I would love to see them do it, but yeah.
Jeff's the group chat is hilarious right now. Are you guys still on? Like, yeah, we're still here, man. Dragon Ball Vault, thank you for the super chat. R. Young says, quote, it's a business. If the Ravens found a better deal elsewhere, a first and Trey, what's so wrong with that? If that happens, level of respect, but still. Turkish says, get me Jalen Carter. What are your opinions on him? He's a game wrecker. He's a beast. Philadelphia is not letting him go. Rant and Raven pod for you.
You can draft David Ajabo with an injury, but you can't trade for Maxx because of a failed physical. Yeah, it's a really good point because we've seen them take some injury risks. I guess the difference in that would be spending a draft pick and, a couple million over the course of that contract versus a $30 million player over the next 3 seasons. Obviously very different. But again, it comes down to what did they find? Like, someone's going to have to get the Ravens team doctor on the phone. Maybe that's who was calling Jeff. Who knows? But that to me is the key information that we really need to make sense of this.
At KRS3 Sports, keeping it real sports on X, tweeted, having represented Zach Orr during a traumatic time in his life with the Ravens, his neck issue forced him into retirement. I assure you, the Ravens medical staff is going to be hypersensitive to injury issues. I don't know his first name, but this is Zach Orr's representation from his playing days. Keeping it real sports on X for what that's worth. Thanks, Rant and Raven pod. Kobe writes, how did we choke away a lead in the offseason? Well played. Dinero Tranquilo says, I'm at the shop still seeing patients. Thanks for your work, guys. Sorry if I missed it. How should we move with that first round pick? Well, Cole's Road Graders film breakdowns and Trench's work is very much back on when it comes to first round draft coverage. And the marathon show that I typically put on every single year on opening night is so back on because they now have the 14th overall pick again.
It was funny. I was joking the other day about like draft night, like the Thursday is going to be so boring. Like I probably wouldn't even, I usually join you and I'd go to bed early. But we're back, I guess.
Oh, we're back. All right. And for all we know, we're going to be doing a freaking massive simulcast with all 3 channels on. Who got to figure out the game plan there? Jesus. Thank you, Dinero. Rafike says the vibe of this offseason has changed. Oh boy. Is it precipitously?
Jeff, we need you.
Let me get this right. Precipitation. And I typically pride myself on.
Oh, not me, dude. I'm not a. I ain't book smart.
Precipitously. The vibe of this offseason has changed precipitously. Not to hate, but Ozzy would never have let this happen. See, that's a tough take there because Eric has an obligation.
Depends. Like, would Ozzy have let this happen if they found something on the medicals? And correct me if I'm wrong, but was Ozzy not the GM when they signed Ryan Grant and then pivoted? It's not a trade, and it's not obviously the level of player. But again, it really comes down to what they found on the medical.
Yeah. Paul says this is the bad place. This is the bad place from Paul. Manson Fish, Ravens equals 2026. Mark Sanchez butt fumble.
Oh man.
And Mark Sanchez, boy, what a interesting end to his, at least for the time being, his broadcasting career as a color analyst.
Well, I think that's over, right?
For the moment, you never know. Indian Raven for you.
Remember, this just entertainment is a beautiful night. I'm going to take my dog for a walk. I trust our world-class org and their framework. Man, you know what? Good for you. I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
I'd be, if I wasn't doing this show right now, I'd be tweeting, arguing with anyone and everyone that I could come across.
This is great perspective right here, and there's not much of that going around. So, Indian, appreciate you. I shouldn't call you that, should I? Indian Raven.
Hey, 216 in, and we're, oh man. Oh man.
Thank you for the super chat. IR8. Stavito says, now what happens if they don't get Trey? I hate my life. Yeah, I mean, it's these are
Bobby's going to be rushing the passer.
5'8", $170 on, a good day soaking wet. Wes Hall says politics is less stressful than being a Ravens fan. Oh. Hey, Nate has over 6 million views on his tweet.
Oh, that's a tough one.
6 million. 6 million. I mean, wow. That brings us to Is it Kowali? We'll go with MK for you.
Do we still draft Vega if we already paid Simpson? This is actually a really good question because they are both, left guard only. At least they've played left guard only. Obviously, anybody can flip. But there's no way if they really want to address their offensive line in the first round with pick 14, they would pass on Vega because of John Simpson. Yeah. So I wouldn't take him off my board. I don't need to start John Simpson. That's just my perspective on it.
So John played in every single game, right, in 23 at left guard, and that was en route to the AFC Championship game. I know you spent a lot of time looking at the last 2 years in New York. Where was he primarily?
Left guard. Yeah, he's been left guard his entire career. I don't think he's ever played right guard. Might have early in the Vegas days, but I don't believe so.
Gotcha. Let's see here. What did Rap Sheet just note here? The Raiders spent $281.5 million in free agency to build up their team and just acquired one of the best pass rushers of the last decade and Maxx Crosby. One way to look at tonight's events. Yeah, from a Ravens perspective, that is a moot point. Judge Baltimore says two things can be true. Baltimore didn't like the medicals and backed out. They also could have tried to renegotiate, and Vegas told them to kick rocks. Totally insane turn of events. Anyways, hashtag in Ricky we trust, who Cole earlier on, about an hour ago probably now, is reporting at Ricky Scoops on X, who's been plugged in, that Trey Hendrickson is now the lead target of Baltimore's. Dwayne, for you.
Bam just scored 83. Yeah, I mean, that wild. We've kind of covered that. Absolutely insane. Good for him. Love it.
And look who's with us tonight, the Super Bowl champ himself, Femi Adebayo. He says it is a fiduciary responsibility, reputation, and player health are tricky. This is not about being game ready today. Something was off, knee or otherwise. Get Vanga, get Trey, Lamar's news is coming. We will figure it out.
It's a good way of looking at it. From somebody that knows kind of how the process works. So appreciate you, Femi.
No doubt. He's had a good feel for a lot of their offseason activity. T Smooth is with us tonight.
This is a rebuild, not reset. We have some pieces. Hendrickson doesn't move the needle like that. Lamar will be running for his life all next year. You have to assume, getting that first round pick back in your chamber allows you to address the offensive line a little bit differently than we are looking at right now. But obviously, going through the first 48 hours of free agency and the only meaningful move being signing John Simpson doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies about the current state of the offensive line. I think I've made that pretty clear where my opinion is on that one.
19 subscriptions out from 7,100. Thank you guys for all the support tonight. Would love to get to that number. Over 2,400 concurrents.
Imagine we canceled the show, dude.
Say that again.
Imagine we canceled the show.
Right? Unbelievable. Thank you guys for being here tonight. And again, if you're one of the 2,478 concurrently watching right now and you're not subscribed, we would love for you to press that subscribe button. This warrants repeat, certainly. Reverse Lines hit us with a $200 super chat about 15 minutes ago. So thank you, Reverse Lines, for being with us tonight. Very, very generous of you. Die Hard Eddie says, considering what happened to Beeks, the Ravens might be hypersensitive to the situation. Honestly, I don't know. Just a thought. We've certainly discussed that idea. Storm Robinson's with us. Cole?
If the Raiders withheld information from the Ravens, is there any penalty from the league to Vegas, or is it more just egg on Baltimore's face? Yeah, I think that's kind of what Dr. Chow was trying to correct from me, the way I framed it. And I actually appreciate the way he did that, because I was kind of looking at it as like the frame of a Ravens fan, and that's not the most objective. And he kind of gave that objectivity. If they withheld information, it'd be different, but there's really no indication that happened. They would have their own medical reports, and kind of his perspective is like everybody's going to do their own medicals, and they would have different criteria, different opinions. Just like two guys can watch the same film, two guys can look at the same, kind of medical diagram and have two different takes on it. Mike Garofalo tweeted this out, and Rap just retweeted it. So it's actually a couple paragraphs from Rap's story that was published on Super Bowl weekend. I don't think we touched on this. It says, while Crosby is ahead of schedule and the repair was considered to be a best case scenario, it likely means he won't be medically cleared before free agency, which we've already talked about. Teams can trust their medical experts and project a player's health, so a trade is at least possible, but rarely are players not yet finished with rehab included in blockbuster trades. This likely means that if Crosby is traded, it may be much later, perhaps at the draft or prior to the season. And then Garofalo expanded on that quote and said the Ravens weren't comfortable making that projection today, and the Raiders disagree. And that, I'm just kind of highlighting my thought there that, two people can look at the same information and have two different opinions on what, there it is right there. Yeah. On what that medical information means in the long term. And that's really if you believe that it was a medical decision again, but I'm just, again, putting myself in the Ravens shoes, and I struggle to see the logic of backing out of that deal. Like, I don't understand what the thinking would be there that benefits the team. This hurts the Ravens in almost every way possible. If they go out and they land Hendrickson and they land, Vega at pick 14, then, maybe we can get our conspiracy hats on, but I don't think they've accomplished that right now.
Good stuff there. This, again, up on the screen is the Crosby camp, if you will. CJ LeBoy is his agent, his representation. And so that's that for the audio only audience. We've read that a couple times now, so I'll just leave that up on the screen. Q the Guru says, I commented the other night questioning if the Raiders would re-engage on the deal. Re-engage? I never thought that we would. Wild. I'm neutral until more information, but still shocked. What is he renegotiate? What does he mean there? I commented the other night questioning if the Raiders would
renege on the deal.
Oh, renege. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and he did. I remember he had a super chat saying they could renege on the deal.
Okay.
I never thought that we would. Wild, I'm neutral until more info, but still shocked. Yeah, that Q's right. I remember I botched. It's funny. I botched the word. I said regen, and then I was like, regenerate what? And then I stared at it for a while because it was right at the end. So Q, appreciate you for the super chat. And it's funny, you absolutely said that. And it is quite ironic to see that we were the ones that did that.
Well, it's also ironic that we both botched it, not knowing that each other did it.
I mean, we can't read.
Yeah.
We are going on almost 2.5 hours. I know you do this, dude, and you're used to radio life. My videos are usually 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So like I'm grinding here.
This is about as radio-like as it gets. It's bringing me back to my WBAL days for sure. Yeah. Kobe says Max is going to be doing 360 dunks on IG tonight. Here is where he actually is as of an hour ago on a private plane on his way probably back west after leaving Baltimore, presumably today. Kobe, thank you. Storm Robinson has become a new channel member, so we now have channel memberships that have been unlocked here at the Collective, which is pretty cool. And along the lines of channel membership, the subscription support tonight's been off the wall. Cole, we have hit the 7,100 mark, 7,103. So thank you guys. And if you find yourself watching tonight, and there's 2,428 of you at the moment, if you find yourself watching tonight and you're not subscribed to the program, we would love for you to do so. And we also are available, and this will be available tomorrow, in all audio spaces as well. So thank you guys. And that brings us to Nick, for you, another one.
Can we get a country of origin for, oh God, now I got to say it, precipitously?
I got you. Precipitously.
Precipitously. Can you use it in a sentence? I cannot pronounce the word precipitously. That's my sentence. Do we have it? Do you have it up in front of you?
The pronunciation?
No, the country of origin. Now I'm curious.
I got you. Let's see. Nick, thank you for really lightening the mood here.
It's French.
Okay, really?
Damn. It implies a reckless, abrupt, or violent descent rooted in the Latin roots "pre" and "caput," head, before head. Interesting.
Okay. Thank you, Nick. Cameron Wolf, NFL reporter, NFL Network. One NFL general manager told me everybody involved in Maxx Crosby trade talks knew he would be out until June or July, coming off the meniscus surgery, which we've discussed. Consensus opinion I've got from NFL decision makers. Ravens got cold feet, and it could impact how other teams work with Baltimore going forward. So
that's again, like maybe it is, and maybe that's what's going to come of this. I'll give my kind of opinion on that. If it comes out that they reneged on the deal because of buyer's remorse or cold feet, that is
bullshit.
It's extremely dirty, and it's borderline a fireable offense, I would say.
It's below the belt stuff.
It's
you know what it is? To use doctor's words, that's a breakage of the brotherhood is what that
that's
is.
A tough one.
Yeah.
It's really like, and maybe the Ravens don't give a shit, and I guess that's their prerogative, but like we all know how this business works. It's you got to have good friends in high places, and like you see, EDC work constantly with Howie. It's because they're boys, and if people stop trusting you, it's like any business. Again, the NFL is a business. That's a tough look. That's a real tough look.
Nick, thank you. Trevor says, go get Grenard. Jonathan Grenard, he believed to be shopped and being shopped, perhaps. Minnesota Vikings pass rusher. Frank Andrews says, just renegotiate the picks before pulling out or off. Nick has also become a channel member. Nick Clements from a minute ago has become a Collective channel member, and that brings us to DJ Burke.
Max is going to kill us the next time he plays us. Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's anything between Max and the Ravens, but I'm sure Max doesn't appreciate his medical information or opinions being formed about where he's at medically being put out there. So, I mean, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Will he remain in the AFC? That remains to be seen. But Cole, I was just going to say, I thought we had reached.
We almost caught up, man. We did good. That was a good grind. Last 30 minutes has just been super chats.
Look at this. And you and I, 30 seconds out from reaching the 2.5 hour mark of tonight's unique coverage, goes without saying. Thank you for spending some time with us tonight. Storm Robinson says, be honest. even if they could rework the deal. How ugly is that situation within the locker room and the building as a whole? I think a lot of us love the idea of a cheaper deal, but at what cost? And David Anand, thank you, Storm, for that super chat. Canadian currency, it's David.
Love you guys, but man, y'all need to work on your reading comprehension. I mean, it's not even comprehension. It's not the understanding of the words. It's your just fundamental reading skills. I think we need to sharpen up a little bit. It's, yeah. I mean, you guys get on here on camera for 2.5 hours and tell me if you can still read, because I can't. And I have to go record. I'm sure you do too. Like, we're going to have to go do our own channel stuff on this story.
Yeah.
And I got to work in the morning. Like,
yeah, I'm going to pull. Speaking of pulling out, I'm pulling out of my my fitness class tomorrow morning, because I'm going to go live on mine tonight for sure and see if I can join somebody. See if somebody
have to do the at-home butt buster, eh? The old butt buster 5,000.
Yeah, not Pilates, but although my sister wants us all to do Pilates before her wedding, so
I tried to get Ben Cleveland to do Pilates for like 4 years, so I mean, it can benefit you.
Dirk Nowitzki tweeted 83 with 8 question marks. I love that.
Wild, absolutely wild.
Thanks, David. Hopefully, you'll give us some grace, being that we are approaching 3 full hours. Yes, live chat wants to clip my ass for that as well. Hey, remember this bracket that we have? This into that.
I love how we had Maxx Crosby latest. We didn't know what it meant at the time, and it really, the third line developed into the story.
Totally. Oh man. Listen, let's get a live real time count here of our subscription count before we get on out of here.
Do you have Studio open, like the actual number?
I do, yeah, 7,115. So
that is wild.
Thank you guys for a big jump in subscription count tonight. Just to give kind of a now that we're kind of unfiltered here, the behind the curtain view of what that means, right? Brand partnerships and how we make this thing go and get the Canadian boy into this space full time in the years ahead is brand partnerships. He's got a cushy Canadian gig government job north of the border, and maybe within the next 5 years, we can change that. So if you enjoy the collective, you see where I'm going, how I'm tying all this in. If you enjoy the collective, if you enjoy our content, if you enjoy what Jeff brings to this show, which is incredibly valuable, please subscribe tonight if you are one of the 2,000 some odd concurrent viewers at this moment. So like the video on your way out if you could. Again, subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Hit that notification bell so you can be dinged and pinged when we're live next, which could very well be tomorrow. We're going to huddle it up, the three of us, in our group chat, see what's best, and go from there. So there's going to be plenty more to come through. But that's our plan right now. And anything else on your end before we jump on out of here?
No, I mean, I've been trying to process as we kind of went through, and it's been interesting to kind of go through this and try and keep up with the news that's being live reported. Just to try, and here's my advice to you guys out there: go out and as much as you can, spend some time trying to get the full information. This is a very unique situation. This is a situation that right now it does not look good for the Ravens. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, of course. But again, it just really, I have a hard time understanding why the Ravens would make this decision without cause. And so all I'm saying, I'm not saying just go out there and put on your purple glasses, go out there and let's spend a couple days to kind of get the full information before we kind of land on an opinion. That's kind of where I'll leave it. That's where my focus is going to be. And we also got a last minute appreciation super chat from Ryan Stryker. I appreciate the show. I was playing it when you went live at my son's soccer practice tonight. By the way, they practice across the street from the castle. I was expecting picketers when we drove home. Keep it up. Appreciate that. Yeah. And I'm glad there was no protesters, but there might be tomorrow. You never know.
So that looks like you got an Owings Mills practice headquarters there, huh, Ryan? Appreciate you. And thank you for the super chat. And Timmy has become our latest collective member as well. We just last week, maybe a week or two ago now, unveiled our channel memberships. So that's a cool new thing that we've unlocked here. And we hope that you'll consider supporting the show in that effort. That'd be great. And gosh, I keep refreshing it out of curiosity. 7,123. So the subscription count continues to go up. And again,
we're 4 away from 1,000 likes. So 4 people, go hit the like button. Just do it for us. Just let's hit the bar.
You know what's funny? I haven't even really been paying attention to that. I've been so focused on the subscription count, and you guys have been coming out in droves in both categories. So thank you. It's really going to help out the growth and really more than anything else, sustaining this show moving forward so that we can make it a year-round thing. And that is the goal.
Someone just commented, "Fuck them likes."
That's one I made.
Okay, that was funny as shit. I'll give you that credit.
Yeah, one I made. He's a ball buster, and he fucking knows it too. Look,
that was a good one. Okay, we hit 1K. So take those likes, homie.
Awesome. And the last thing we'll say here from Schefter is that the Raiders already have received calls from several teams inquiring about the availability of Crosby in a trade. For now, the Raiders are prepared to get Crosby healthy and have him play for Vegas, but they are listening to other teams. So anyway.
Oh, we got a late breaker from Adam Schefter. Sorry to interrupt you, Bobby. So from Schefter, Raiders already have received calls from several teams inquiring about the availability of Maxx Crosby in a trade per source. For now, the Raiders are prepared to get Crosby healthy and have him play for Las Vegas, but they are listening to other teams. Let's be real. Maxx Crosby is going to be traded somewhere else.
Hey, and you want to know why it's time to go?
Why?
I just read that exact tweet.
Did you really? Oh my God, dude.
Look at the chat. Look at the chat.
Oh, no fucking way. Someone just said that.
Look at everybody. That is so good. I'm like, listen, it happens in partnership, right? Like Sarah and I do that all the time when we're multitasking, especially on unique circumstances like this. But it was literally like a half second after, and you just muted yourself. What the hell are you doing now? Oh,
I have to go to my channel and do a video now, and it is not going to go well. If this is the way I'm performing, we are so fucked.
Look at this, though. This is the best part. We're getting channel members. Bob Clemens has become a channel member. Bob, welcome to collective membership. Appreciate you being here tonight. Matthew says, this is the worst I've felt about the Ravens in a while. That's what Matthew says. So thank you both. And we should probably go now.
Someone goes, we traded Cole Sanity.
The reactions are so good. I mean, we're talking like a half second. Like, this is like.
That's bad.
It's all good. Guys,
did my mic just screw up too? I think the cord fell out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I'm coming through. Okay. Now I'm probably, that's better.
Oh, you fucked the whole system up, but you're back now. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. So, yes, thank you guys for a historic night. Sorry it wasn't the news that you wanted. We almost gave you 3 hours. We'll likely be back tomorrow. So keep your notifications on and whatnot so you can be notified of what we're doing. Welcome to Dimian Sum as our newest collective channel member. And God, the longer we stay on, the more I want to continue to refresh this page. We are now at 7,133 subscriptions. We're going up by 10 every time I refresh it. So thank you guys. Jeff will be back tomorrow, no question. Hopefully,
maybe not. If Jeff might quit the show after that little that moment.
Hey, and don't forget about precipitously. You know, he's sitting over there punching air when I try to do that for the first time. Anyway, we're gonna try and sign off. You get yourself some rest. Guys, please support Road Graders tomorrow. He's gonna need it after this video. And you can go check that out. I will be live within the next hour or so. I got to call Sarah and see what she's doing. Yeah, for Cole,
Yeah,
for
you guys
Jeff,
gonna go live? Are you gonna go on the vault, or what's your plan? Just so the good folks out there know.
dude, it's always wait and see, especially when she's got family in town, which she does right now. So the beauty of it is, hey, that's why you got 2 channels. So I'll check in with her, and regardless, probably be live by midnight. So,
and for what it's worth, ever since we asked for 1,000, we got up to 1,100. So seriously, all jokes aside, I'm glad I could bring some sort of entertainment to you tonight to make up for the distraught state of the Baltimore Ravens. But seriously, appreciate everybody out there. This has been a blast. I've never gone over the 2-hour mark, and we shattered that. So I'm gonna go to bed.
we're up another 6 subscriptions just in your little sign off there. So this has been a historic episode for us, obviously for all the wrong reasons. If you're a Ravens fan, depending on how you look at this, and there will be much more to be learned moving forward. So for Cole, for Jeff, I'm Bobby signing off from this instant reaction live stream. Maxx Crosby's trade to Baltimore is off, and there will be a lot of blowback and a lot more to be learned in the coming hours and days ahead. Appreciate you guys. And as always, thanks for spending some time with us here inside The Collective.